मध्ये मी डॉक्टर सुनील इंदुरकर आजचे व्याख्याते यांचा परिचय करून देत आहे. आपल्या 13व्या फॅकल्टी इंडक्शन प्रोग्रामच्या दरम्यान अनेक मान्यवरांचे व्याख्यान आपण ऐकलेले आहेत आणि जवळपास सर्वच विषयावरती आपली ती व्याख्याने झालेली आहेत. एकापेक्षा एक अतिशय माहितीपूर्ण आणि विद्वत्ता प्रचूर व्याख्याने ही झालेली आहेत. आजचे सुद्धा अत्यंत विद्वान मान्यवर डॉक्टर BK साखळे सर आपल्याला मार्गदर्शन करणार आहेत. सरांनी फूड टेक्नॉलॉजी या विषयामध्ये MTech आणि PhD मिळवलेली आहे आणि सर सध्या केमिकल टेक्नॉलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट मध्ये प्रोफेसर आहेत आणि त्यांनी विद्यापीठाच्या युनिव्हर्सिटी डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ केमिकल टेक्नॉलॉजी हेड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट म्हणून कार्यरत आहेत. यापूर्वी सर आपल्या विद्यापीठामध्ये डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर मराठवाडा विद्यापीठामध्ये रजिस्ट्रार या पदावरही त्यांना काम करण्याचा अनुभव आहे. तसेच गोपीनाथराव मुंडे नॅशनल इन्स्टिट्यूट ऑफ रूरल डेव्हलपमेंट अँड रिसर्च या संस्थेचे संचालक म्हणूनही सरांनी काम पाहिलेले आहे. सरांना जवळपास 22 वर्षाचा एक्सपिरियन्स आहे. टीचिंग, रिसर्च आणि एक्सटेन्शन मध्ये त्यांनी काम केलेलं आहे. सरांनी जवळपास 79 नॅशनल आणि इंटरनॅशनल कॉन्फरन्सेस मध्ये रिसर्च पेपर पब्लिश केलेले आहेत. सर हॅज गॉट 720 citations with H index 15 and I index 27. In extension activities, सरांनी जवळपास 34 पॉप्युलर आर्टिकल्स पब्लिश केलेले आहेत. 5 टेक्निकल बुकलेट त्यांचे पब्लिश आहेत. सरांचे 4 बुक्स सुद्धा पब्लिश आहेत. सरांनी काही टीव्ही टेलिकास्ट केलेले आहेत. रेडिओ टॉक्स आहेत. जवळपास 89 एक्सपर्ट टॉक्स सुद्धा सरांनी दिलेले आहेत. 41 नॅशनल आणि 42 इंटरनॅशनल कॉन्फरन्स मध्ये सरांनी पेपर प्रेझेंट केलेले आहेत. अनेक नॅशनल इंटरनॅशनल कॉन्फरन्स सरांनी अटेंड केलेले आहेत. 4 स्पॉन्सर्ड रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट सरांनी कंप्लीट केले, ज्याच्यासाठी 50 लाखापेक्षा जास्त अनुदान मिळालेलं आहे. सरांच्या 6 विद्यार्थ्यांना PhD प्रदान झालेले असून आणखी 4 विद्यार्थ्यांना PhD मिळणार आहे. PhD म्हणजे पोस्ट हार्वेस्टिंग टेक्नॉलॉजी, फ्रूट अँड व्हेज प्रोसेसिंग टेक्नॉलॉजी, फूड सेफ्टी अँड क्वालिटी, FSMS म्हणजे फूड सेफ्टी मॅनेजमेंट सिस्टीम, एक्सट्रुमेंट टेक्नॉलॉजी, फूड प्रॉडक्ट डेव्हलपमेंट या विषयांमध्ये संशोधन करण्याचा सरांचा हा आवडीचा एरिया आहे. सरांना 2 पेटेंट पण सरांचे आहेत. एक पेटेंट सरांनी आता फाईल केलेला आहे. संशोधन आणि मार्गदर्शन करण्यासाठी सरांना अनेक देशांना जायचा योग आला, ज्याच्यामध्ये मालदीव, स्पेन, इस्रायल हे देश आहेत. सरांनी त्यांच्या 22 वर्षाच्या सर्व्हिसच्या काळामध्ये अनेक ट्रेनिंग्स घेतल्या आहेत. खूप सेमिनार, वर्कशॉप अटेंड केलेले आहेत आणि ऑर्गनाईज पण केलेले आहेत. या दरम्यान त्यांना अनेक अवॉर्ड मिळालेले आहेत. अनेक सन्मान प्राप्त झाले आहेत. खूपशा अकॅडमिक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी सरांनी पार पाडलेल्या आहेत. मैसूर, कानपूर, हैदराबाद, वेल्लोर, हरियाणा, कोलकाता येथील संस्थांची त्यांना प्रोफेशनल लाईफ मेंबरशिप पण मिळालेली आहे. हे जर पूर्ण सांगायचे म्हटलं तर हे पूर्ण सेशन पण पूर्ण नाही सरांच्या बायोडाटा वाचण्यामध्ये. मला एक असं बहुआयामी व्यक्तिमत्व असलेले सरांचे व्याख्यान आज पण खूप महत्वपूर्ण असणार आहे. आता अधिक वेळ न घेता तुमच्याप्रमाणे मी सुद्धा सरांचे मार्गदर्शन घेण्यासाठी उत्सुक आहे. मी सरांना विनंती करतो की सरांनी आम्हाला मार्गदर्शनाचा लाभ द्यावा. डॉक्टर साखळे सर.
थँक्यू. आपण सविस्तर असं माझा बायोडाटा या ठिकाणी सादर केला, त्याबद्दल आपलं अभिनंदन. माझी स्क्रीन शेअर झालेली आहे का?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, now we will start. I would like to welcome to all participants from the different states of the country. Today I am going to talk on the sustainable development in agriculture. You might have seen my biodata or curriculum vitae that I am related to the agriculture processing, food technology, food processing technology. And we are knowing that whatever the research is going on in the laboratory, that should be adopted or that should be executed at field. So that is called as the extension activities. So I will talk on the sustainable development in agriculture. What is a sustainable development? When you talk about a sustainable, we are thinking about everything about the sustainability. Sustainability means whatever we are having today, that should be made available to our future generation. That means we should have the common or civic sense that whatever the natural resources available, that should be, we have to preserve and we have to enrich it, and then we have to make it available for the future generation. So it refers to the mode of human development, because we are talking about the development, maybe financial development, social development, human development, in which the resources used aims to meet the human needs. And you might be knowing that our needs are unlimited. So while ensuring the sustainability of natural systems and the environment, so that these needs can be met not only in present, means current needs, but also for generations to come. So we have to very effectively and efficiently use these natural resources very cautiously, and we have to keep it for the future generation. So today we are talking about the sustainability in agriculture. You might be knowing that the agriculture field is very vibrant, because our country is an agrarian country. So our all the population here, about 65% population, is directly depend upon the agriculture. Earlier it was 80%. The contribution in the Indian economy of the agriculture field is significantly reduced. Maximum population depend upon the agriculture, but when talk about the income from this agriculture or contribution in GDP, it is ever decreasing. And therefore, agriculture is backbone of the Indian economy. But now we can say that our economy is not dependent on agriculture. So it is service sector is growing very rapidly, and therefore agriculture needs to be the primary sector that needs to be strengthened. So the sustainable development is highly required in the field of agriculture, because majority population living in the rural areas, and source of the employment of this rural population is dependent on agriculture, that contribute 13% of GDP and engaging 65% population. In case of service sector, it is a reverse picture. 16% population is engaged in service sector and contributing 60% of GDP. And third comes to the industry. But we wanted to become a developed country. So in Vikasit Bharat 2047, that India should have the contribution of the primary and secondary sector in the larger country. Therefore, under agriculture, we have to think on it, and application of this technology, the sustainable technology, green technology, that will have more impact on the socio-economic development of the rural areas. Therefore, the agriculture provides the raw materials for industries, food, fodder, fuel, and revenue for the rural population. It is a multifaceted sector that will have the very bright future. The majority population depends directly on agriculture. Its allied sector means agro-production sector. This is Maslow, the hierarchy of the Maslow has given the hierarchy of the needs, which is the basic need or fundamental need. That is called as the basic needs. And basic need include the physiological needs that is required daily. That means we require food, we require water, we require clothes, that is warmth and rest. The Anna Vastra Nivara is our physiological need. Therefore, when we see the graph, this is the basic need, it is required in major quantity. That's why food is a basic need. And the agriculture was meant only for the subsistence. But nowadays, agriculture became now secondary, and the service sector is growing very rapidly. And second, in basic need, we require safety, because social security is most important. And therefore, safety is having a prime concern. So these are basic needs which require more, and we have to focus more on the basic needs. And nowadays, we are knowing that 40% of population is suffering from malnutrition. They are only getting the foods at once in a day. Therefore, in most of the underdeveloped countries, they are not getting a sufficient food. So starvation and malnutrition, these are very crucial factors in the development of the human beings. Therefore, we have to think about the fulfillment of the basic needs. So as per the Maslow, this is the basic needs. Second is the psychological needs. Once it is fulfilled, when we fulfill the basic needs, then we have to think about the psychological needs. That is belongingness and love needs, intimate relationships and friends. So once it is second one. And it also includes the esteem needs, that is prestige, feeling of accomplishment. So once we step forward, then we'll have to think about these psychological needs. And third important is self-actualization. Once we will get all this, fulfill the three needs, psychological needs and basic needs, the person or the human thinks about this self-realization. self-motto, achievement of these in particular field. So these are the Maslow. So it means that we are having the food is a basic need. That's why if you are having the food security, and our country is welfare country. That's why we are providing the food to every person in the country. So no one behind in getting the food. So adequate food supply, sufficient food supply, having sufficient nutrition that will be provided through the public distribution system and targeted public distribution system by the government of India. So 25 kg food is given, that is essential commodity provided by the government in order to have the social security and food security. If food is good with full of nutrients, nutritious food definitely that will give the required amount of calorie as per the government definition. At least 1,800 calories should be provided to the person of the country who is below poverty line. And therefore, if you have good food, that will provide the good nutrients, and good nutrient result to a good health. And that we are knowing that health is wealth. That's why food is a life, and the food is obtained from the agriculture. That's why agriculture is a very important sector. So in order to provide the food security, we are having the social security and financial security, but the food security is most important because it is a physiological need and basic need. What is the food security? That means it exists when all the people at all the time have physical and economical access. That means it should be made available where the person is living or residing. So that's why in the rationing, we are providing the food to the doorstep. That is called as the physical access or physical supply. Then economical access, but it should be affordable. It should not be costly. That's why government is providing the basic essential needs, maybe edible oil, sugar, then pulses, then cereals, maybe wheat, rice, in a sufficient quantity at affordable price by providing the subsidies. So it should be sufficient, it should be safe and nutritious as well in order to meet their dietary needs. I have told you that there are three categories of the working persons. One is having the light work, that is they require generally 1,800 calorie. Then medium person having a medium work, that is called a sedentary work, on a 2,200 calories, and third of 2,800 to 3,000. They are working hardly. So the dietary needs should be fulfilled. That's why, according to their food preferences, it is most important. If the person is from south, therefore the rice should be provided. Person from North India, wheat should be provided, depending upon this geographical location, locality, and the food preference of the particular population in order to have an active and healthy life. This is definition of the food security. There are three objectives in order to provide the food security: that there must be a physical supply of the desired food in the sufficient quantity. We cannot give the money in the form of to buy the food. That therefore we have to provide the food. The Food Corporation of India is taking responsibility of this, providing the foods, and they are procuring the foods on large scale. We have the buffer stock. Even 3 years, if we are facing the problems of drought or famine, definitely there is no need to import the food from these other countries. So we are self-sufficient in the food grains, and we are the largest producer of the cereals in the world. Therefore, there must be physical supply of the desired food in the sufficient quantity. Second, there must be economic access. That means it should be affordable. It should be cheaper as compared to the market value. Therefore, we are providing the 1 or 2 rupees per kg, particularly in different state, different policies are there. And there should be stability in supply. That means every weekly or quarterly, the food should be supplied. Then and then the purpose will be solved. So it will provide the nutritional security, means no one will be behind in case of these deficiencies, particularly undernutrition, malnutrition, or the overnutrition. In India, we are not facing the problems of obesity, particularly in the developed countries. There is a problem of child obesity. And therefore, in our country, only the 1 to 2% people are having the problem of the obesity, that is overnutrition, or particularly consumption of the fatty foods. But we are facing the problems of protein deficiency, carbohydrate deficiency, and vitamins and mineral deficiency. Therefore, we have to provide the food in such a way that will secure their nutritional characteristics. Third one is the health security. If we provide the food with the high nutrition, definitely the health security is important. You might have experienced during pandemics, COVID-19 period. So we are focusing on the protein foods in order to improve our immune systems. So in 2020-21, the has declared as year of this fruit and vegetable, international year of the fruit and vegetable, because fruit and vegetable consumption leads to the boost our immunity system. So it results into a social security. Therefore, we have to think about the food security, social security. So what are the global challenges we are facing in the agriculture and food industry or food sector? Because this is a major sector. The first is the sustainability, improve the agricultural productivity. This is most important to meet the increasing demand. Population is ever increasing, but we think about the rate of the productivity. Population rate growth is higher than the agriculture production. Therefore, 1.4% production, but population is growing at the rate of 2.4. Therefore, we have to fulfill the needs of this increasing population, and therefore we have to think about the sustainable productions, because the quality of soil is getting deteriorating. Natural resources are very limited. Therefore, we have to think about how to increase the productivity. And that's why the technologists should think what are the different techniques, that is vertical farming, and terrace farming, then hydroponics, aeroponics. Such type of the technologies we have to adopt, because the land under the cultivation is ever decreasing because of the agriculture land is converted into non-agriculture for the development of the various projects. So the 3,000 acres of the land every day is decreasing. This is a very severe offense. Therefore, whatever the land we are having, we have to increase the product. As compared to other countries, we are very low in productivity. Only because of having the ample of the land, we are the largest producer in number of the countries. Second, that you have to address the climate change and intensification of the natural hazards, because the biological hazards, physical hazards, chemical hazards, they are coming into the picture and also deteriorating the environment, and that is found hazardous for this agriculture. Fourth one is the eradicate to extreme poverty and reduce the inequality, because we are having the two groups, that is, one is the very rich and one is the very poor. So even today, the 30 to 32% of the population is under poverty. Therefore, we have to think about that, how to reduce this poverty. And fourth one, and fifth one is we have to end hunger.
Political science major.
And all forms of the malnutrition. I just mentioned that our sustainable development goal 2 is that we have to be free from the hunger. That's why there should be no any poverty, and there should be person no behind for struggling for the food. Then improve the income earning opportunities in rural areas and address the root causes of the migrations. If the urbanization is going on, and therefore the peoples are migrating from the rural, peoples are migrating from the rural to urban area. Therefore, we have to think that the migration should be reduced, and therefore whatever the resources are there, that resources should be utilized there. So the agro-processing sector playing a very important role. So we have to invest in that particular rural areas. So rural urban mission is there. Shama Prasad Mukherjee, in the name of the Shama Prasad Mukherjee, the rural urban mission is now initiated. So the migration should be reduced. Then make a food system more efficient, inclusive, and resilient. So according to our climatic conditions, global warming and climate change, we have to develop such a variety that will be resistant to the even can grow at drought condition with minimum water and more resistance to the infestation and infections. So we have to think about that. And eighth is the build resilience to protected crisis and disasters and conflicts, just like the BT cotton or the technology that we are bringing, but our farmers are not adopting. Particularly in case of the cotton, we have adopted only the BT technology, but in case of other crops, we are not accepted because due to some myths and some technical facts. For consumption of such type of the BT crops or the GM crops, genetically modified crops, they will have the high, but there is every possibility on the effect or adverse effect on health. Therefore, we have technology we have not adopted, and we are also the studies going on, particularly biosafety studies, address the need for these coherent and effective national and international governance. So we have to, it is teamwork in order to reduce this greenhouse gases effect or these climatic conditions, or accordingly we have to undertake certain project in collaboration with the other state. So in global challenges, in the conclusion, we can say that there are four basic challenges we have to face. Not only the our country, but the world is struggling for the getting enough food. That is, sustainable food production is highly required because due to the climatic condition or changes in the climatic condition, water and even soil quality, the production is fluctuating. Therefore, the population is ever increasing, and we have to increase the food so that the enough food will be available, and that food whatever we are producing, that should be safe, free from any hazards, maybe heavy metals or any insecticide residue or pesticide residues, so that they will be reducing the number of diseases that will occur. Particularly in case of the, you might be knowing, due to the exodus application of the insecticide, pesticide and chemical fertilizer, which is the output of the green revolution. But due to this application in ample quantity, the food is full of these chemicals and insecticide residue that will lead to a cancer. So that the number of the patients are you are observing are increasing. Particularly, the might be knowing the train is running from this Punjab to the Delhi. It's called as a cancer train. So because of the green revolution, more impact is on the Punjab state because of this. Firstly, they have adopted the green practices, use of these chemical fertilizers. Then in our Maharashtra, particularly in case of grape production, we are using number of the chemicals. We are just dipping these bunches of these grapes berries in the chemicals, particularly gibberellic acids and number of the chemicals, so that it will lead to a adverse effect on the health. So whatever the food we are growing, that should have the quality and that should be the safe for consumption. Then third important is the challenge is the healthy foods. We are eating the foods for the specific purpose. Example, in case of the tomatoes, we are eating for this lycopene, which is strong antioxidant. But if the tomato is not having sufficient lycopene, that is not part of the nutritious or the healthy foods. So the whatever the phytochemicals are there, that should be in ample quantity. Example, in turmeric, curcumin should be there. But nowadays the curcumin can be extracted and they are just using the artificial yellow color and selling this turmeric powder in the market. So that food is not healthy food. Therefore, the food should be healthy and nutritious. And fourth, the good food. If food is having good nutrition, healthy, but it should have the good quality, that is called as aesthetic quality and satiety value. It should be good for the consumption, it should be good for digestion, and it should be good in taste. So these are the global challenges as far as the foods are. So the Food and Agriculture Organization, they are celebrating the World Food Day, and in of the World Food Day, they have more and they focus on the how our actions are becoming our futures. If you take appropriate action today, definitely our future will be bright. So the whatever the deforestation going on, they have to plant these different kinds of these varieties. They have to grow it, we have to nourish it, and sustain together. So for sustenance of our life also, we have to think about the environment. We require or we are in need of the development, but that new development should be inclusive, considering the environment conservation. So our actions, today's action is most important for our future. So the World Food scenario, when we think about it promotes the global awareness. Every day, is on the 18th, 16th October, we are celebrating the World Food Day in order to provide the food to the globe. So the global awareness and action for those who suffer from the hunger and to ensure the healthy diets for all. So as the countries around the world suffer the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, so the Food and Agriculture Organization is a comes under the UNO, is launching a call for the global solidarity to help the most vulnerable people, particularly child and women, to recover and make food system more sustainable and stronger and resilient to the shocks. So in that we have to develop such a technology that will be more sustainable for the increasing food production along with the quality in terms of nutrient safety. The responsibility does not only lie with the governments. We cannot say that government will do all this. So it is a teamwork. All the stakeholders, they have to put their efforts so that this result will be useful or beneficial. We all have to role to play from making food choices that improves both our health and that of our food system. Might be knowing that in 2023 is celebrated as an International Millet Year. We are promoting our Indianness, particularly we are known for the cultivation of the millets and consumption of the millets. So the millets are having the number of it is called as superfood. It is called a food for futures. So millets may be jowar, that is swargam, then nachni, then bajra, that is pearl millet. So all these millet, there are 8 types of the major and minor millets. They are having the rich in nutrient as well as the phytochemicals. And you might be knowing that the rate of the per kg of the millet industrial market is 600 rupees per kg for bajra, that is pearl millet. So the millets are the superfoods or the future for future foods. Therefore, we have to focus on the. That's why, in order to increase the consumption of the millets, totally they are free from the gluten. That's why there is no problem of the celiac diseases. Most of the countries in the world, those are the growing of this wheat and consuming the wheat from generation together. They are facing the problem of celiac diseases and death occurs. Therefore, all world is looking at India because India is the hub of the millets. So the last year, 2023-24, celebrated as a millet of the interest year. So we are having the mission on the millets in India. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, by 2050, the world's population will reach the 9 billion people, and there would not be enough fresh food to feed them all. So fresh food is not possible. We have to store it, we have to preserve it by using different technologies. It will be the direct result of the current food waste and loss practices. You might be knowing that 30% foods are getting lost. Even after production, till to consumption, 30% losses are occurring. Particularly the majority of the fruits and vegetables, those are highly perishable. We have to reduce this wastage because in one side, people are hungry, they are having problems of malnutrition, they are not getting the food, and the other side, we are wasting the foods. Particularly in the climatic countries like India, tropical countries, they are having the maximum losses in production. So we have to reduce that by using the technology. 1.3 billion tons of foods are thrown in the trash every year, 1/3 of which are vegetable. Particularly in India, near about 90,000 crores costing foods we are losing, particularly fruits and vegetables. We don't have the processing facility at rural areas. We don't have the cool chambers. We don't have the cold chain facilities. And that's why they are highly perishable, particularly meat, milk, and fruits and vegetables. They are highly perishable commodities. Therefore, it should be converted into a semi-processed product. Then and then we can release. Our total quantity we are losing is equal to the total production of the. So we can think about that, how this valuable quantity, perishable quantity we are losing, that's why we are convert into a processable product, and so that it will add the value. By 2030, world should free from hunger, that is zero hunger. It is our sustainable development goal too, and accordingly we are working zero hunger with the objective of actions to make sustainable and healthy diets affordable and available to all. So everyone should have the access to safe food, nutritious and affordable foods. That's the right to food. It is our fundamental right to get a good quality food. A Peace Prize given to 2020 for the World Food Program to combat the problems of hunger and to prevent the leakages or malpractices in the public distribution system, particularly targeted public distribution system. The ATM have been started in India, 18 districts of UP during the pandemic. Just like how we are removing the money or withdrawing the money from the ATM, just you will get the food from this ATM. So automatic grain dispenser, Food Corporation of India in UP, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and Haryana, and Uttarakhand, they have started the step of the innovative activity. Then another technology we have developed, the rice with fortification. That is fortified rice with the rich in protein content. 4,000 metric tons to 3 lakh school-going children were provided in 2018-20 under the World Food Program at different states under the scheme of Rural Livelihood Mission. So accordingly, we are doing the best in the agriculture in order to have a sustainable development. You might be knowing that we are now self-sufficient after independence of 1970-71. We were importing the food from the US, particularly under the public law 480 schemes, and we imported the wheat, we imported the edible oils, we imported the even milk powders. But by adopting the green revolutions, the credit goes to the Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. We brought the certain varieties having the high and short duration variety. So the green revolution was adopted that use of the chemical fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, herbicides, and we have drastically increased our yield. We have to think that now the step of the green revolution, because we are thinking now the organic farming, we are thinking about the natural farming, because this whatever we are producing are full of chemicals, insecticide residues, pesticide residues. So we have we have to think about the green revolution too. Then yellow revolution, that is the increase the productivity and production of the edible oils. But unfortunately, we are not self-sufficient in the production of the edible oil. We are importing the edible oil from these Malaysia and Indonesia. These countries are totally dependent on these export. And for a particular last years, I imported 150 lakh tons of edible oil, palm oil from the Malaysia, which cost around 1 lakh crores. So this is the third commodity we are importing. First one is the petrol and diesel, second one is gold, and third one is edible oil. Means we are the agriculture country and we are not self-sufficient in edible oil. Whatever the varieties we are having, particularly sunflower, then sesame, and then safflower, they are now considered as the endangered species. So totally we are dependent upon soybean and palm oil. So we require the sustainable development in this edible oil sectors, particularly importing certain varieties of this edible oil, particularly palm plants we are importing. We have collaborated with the Malaysian governments, and under the able leadership of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, they have signed an agreement with these countries, and we are importing the plant material. We are cultivating in northeastern states and to south states in order to grow these palm plants, so that we will have the edible oil from the plant. Third one is the blue revolution, that is the food from the sea, that is called as a freshwater fishes and these marine fishes. So we have to also think about the sustainable development initiative by developing these technologies. Golden revolution, that is related with the fruit and vegetable production. So we are the largest producer of the fruit in the world and second vegetables after China. We are self-sufficient in fruit and vegetables. And fifth one revolution, that is a white revolution, we are getting milk every day. It is because of this significant contribution of the Dr. Varghese Kurian through the NDDB, National Dairy Development Board. We have implemented number of the ambitious scheme, and by crossbreeding of these indigenous cows and exotic cows, then so we are now self-sufficient in the milk, and we are the largest producer of the milk in the world. So you can see how they are overview of the Indian agriculture. So we are having the arable lands. Arable land means the land which can be used for the cultivations. So we are the second largest in the world. Then wheat, rice, paddy, milk, fruits, vegetables. So it means that we are the largest producer in the world. But picture is not as satisfactory. India is the front ranking in producer in many perishables, but when we think about how much quantity we are producing as compared to the world, 50% of the mangoes we are producing, we are largest producer of the mango in the world. We are fulfilling the requirements of our 50%. We are growing 23% banana we are producing, 36 cashew nut, 11% onion, and 28% cauliflower, and 53% of the world's buffalo we are having this buffalo livestock, and then we are providing this beef to the countries. So we are having the largest slaughterhouse or the abattoir in the country. So we are exporting the beef to the developed countries, while 17% goat and 16% milk of the world. When think about the processing, then this picture is not very good. That is level of processing. We think about this Malaysia, they are out of total production, they are processing 83%, US 80%, even Saudi Arabia 80%, but India is processing only 8.3%. That means whatever the farmers are producing, they are not able to supply to the consumers. So due to the lack of processing facility, due to the lack of the cold storage facility or warehouses, we are losing our quantity. And maximum quantity is consumed as a fresh. That's why the processing is very less. And second factor, that is our industries, unorganized sectors. Because you can see the number of the street vendors, street foods are there. Even in number of the halwais are there, they are manufacturing sweetmeats. They don't have any registration. So organic sector is very less. 20% sector is organized and 80% sector is unorganized. That's why it leads to the adulteration or unsafety of the foods, unhygienic. They are manufacturing the foods under unhygienic condition. So the Food Safety and Standard Authority of India, they have thought that even the small supplier of the food or any food business operators, they have to take the license from these Food and Drug Administration in order to provide the safe food to the consumer. So the consumer safety is most important. Second, we thought about the contribution of the GDP versus population. In agriculture sector earlier, our economy was dependent upon the agriculture in the 80s, 80 to 90s, but nowadays the scenario is totally changed. Agriculture is contributing only 13% in GDP and engaging 65% population. In case of the service sector, it is growing very rapidly as a banking, IT sectors, even mobile services. So these are the service sector that contributes 60% in GDP, engaging only 16% population. Third, industry sector also, they are only 10 to 20% contribution, and 60%, 30 to 40% contribution in GDP, engaging only 13 to 50%. So these are pictures are not satisfactory. So the primary and secondary sector needs to be strengthened for the sustainable development. So why the sustainable development is important? Because first we have to protect our technological resources. Indigenous technologies, whatever we are having, that needs to be strengthened. That is called a resurgence. Research for research. So whatever we are having, that we have to develop thinking the Indian conditions. So provide the basic human needs, that is water, food and shelter, which is basic needs. We are not able to provide it by and large. Third one, the agriculture necessity. Because we are totally dependent on agriculture, we require food, and that should be in sustainable manner. If productivity should be increased, production should be increased. Fourth one, accommodate the city development. So the urbanization, we have to restrict some certain urbanization because it puts pressure on these cities. So all these environmental problems are growing. Therefore, wherever this produce is grown, that should be processed there, and so that will create the employment there. Therefore, urbanization needs to be controlled. Control climate change. So when we adopt these green technologies, green energies in agriculture, definitely the climatic conditions we can sustain biodiversity due to the use of these technologies, particularly technologies related with these chemicals, agrochemicals, then the biodiversity now considered as endangered. Therefore, we have to consider about this sustainable biodiversity. So, we require development. What are the development challenges? For growth and development, it should be inclusive, and we have to consider environment as one of the important. Cannot overlook the environment. So, we have to consider the environment for our growth and development. Then, what are the agriculture technologies in sustainable development? You might be knowing that we can use improve the productivity. This is most important. Particularly in case of rice, we are very low in productivity. In case of when I visited Israel, Israel is known for the cultivation of these fruits and vegetables. Productivity is very high. In case of our mango, particularly Alfonso, it is very known and good quality mangoes across the globe. But when we think about the productivity, only the per hectare yield of this Alfonso is only 2.5 tons per hectare. In case of the Kesar mangoes, it is 7 tons per hectare. But the varieties I have seen in the Israel, particularly Tommy Atkins and Hayden, they are having 45 tons per hectare. So we are having the collaboration with the Israel government, and at Aurangabad, particularly Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar and Dapoli, they have the collaborations, and we are bringing these root stocks from that variety, and we are improve our product. So the productivity in terms of all the crops, maybe cereals, legume, pulses, and plantation crops, fruit and vegetables, productivity we have to increase. Then quality of the soils. Our soility due to the excess application of these chemical fertilizers, the health of the soil is now becoming very poor. So the productivity is declining. Therefore, we have to improve the soil. We have to use the organic matter, and then it would be increased. The water conservation, particularly where we're using the flood irrigation systems, now we have to think about this micro irrigation system so that we can save the water. That will be reasonably cost of the food and fiber can be improving soil quality, fertility, improving the water availability and water use efficiency. So it is known that how much quantity of water is required for a particular crop. So accordingly, we have to manage and we have to use the water. Reducing the food losses by investing in rural areas, by construction, establishing the enabling the farmers to modernize as it becomes feasible to them. So the technology should be appropriate and suitable to a particular climatic condition. These are the climatic change impacts for India. Expected climatic change impacts for India. Changes in weather pattern. You might have experienced that in summer we are experiencing the rains, hailstorms, cyclonic disturbances, sea level rises to the increase in temperature to the global warming, changes in agriculture yields. So the yield is instead of increasing, it is decreasing. Changes in the freshwater supply, impacts on forest and natural ecosystems, adverse impact on greenhouse gases, impact on human health. Whatever we are consuming, we are not sure that whether this food is safe or not, whether it is free from chemical residues or not. Whatever the milk we are consuming, whether it is safe or not, because the oxytocin injections are given to the animals in order to have the more milk, and that's why it has adverse effect of that hormone on human health. So everything that is under suspicion that whether we are consuming it is safe or not. So that is affecting this health of the human being. Probability of the 10 to 40% loss in crop production in India with increase in temperature by the 2080. So the global warming, if it continue, definitely there will be the reduction in the production of the cereals. Increasing the climatic variability associated with global warming, so result in considerable seasons, annual fluctuation in food production. Then it likely have the consequences on international food prices, trade, and hence our food security. The small changes in temperature and rainfall would have significant effect on quality of cereals. By experiencing because in summer we are having the rains, and in rainy seasons we are not having the rains, so that drought conditions are. So the fruits, aromatic and medicinal plants with resultant implications, their prices crash. pathogens and insect population are strongly dependent upon the temperature and humidity. So change in temperature, it is also affecting the growth of the pathogens, and it will also lead to the lower yield. Climate change is likely to aggravate the heat stress in dairy animals. So it will adverse effect on animals, particularly we are having these cows, particularly bred from these Holstein Friesian, HF and brown Swiss. They are not resistant to the high temperature, and therefore there will be adverse effect on the livestock population and affecting their productive and reproductive performances. So climate change impacts in India, that is agriculture and food security and energy security. So we have to think about the green energy, and we have to improve the quality of the soil, quality of the varieties, and therefore it will lead to a food security. Now the droughts, floods, tropical cyclones, heavy precipitation events, hot extremes and heat waves are known to negatively impact on agricultural production and farmers' livelihood. You are expressing in Assam and in flood conditions, so their lives are under the. We can see this tragedy witness to the tragedy of India's farming crisis due to the you can say in Marathi Dubar Perni due to the drought conditions. Then food losses is the major challenges we are facing. Every year around the globe, 1.3 billion tons of these foods are get wasted. That is 1/3 of the all food produced for the human consumption. This is not a simply loss or waste, but it resources whatever we have given in the form of inputs, that is water, land we have used, energy we have used, labor and capital we have invested, that is loss of the total loss of revenue loss, nutrient loss, and loss of these our resources. So needlessly produce greenhouse gas emissions, the carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, methane, so contributing to the global warming and the climate change. So we have to think very seriously about these factors, and so we have to find out the sustainable solutions. So estimated level of these post-harvest losses. After the harvesting, we cannot send it to the market or send it to the consumer. So there is a gap. In order to bridge this gap, we have to establish the facilities of storage facilities and the transportation facilities at lower temperature. That is termed as the post-harvest losses. In India, it is around 40%. So the out of the total production, even in the 100 quintals, 40 quintals are losing in the supply chain management. So we can save it. That is as good as the production of the new crops. In Indonesia, Iran, Korea, Thailand, we can see. Then what is the solution? That is a solution, that is agro-based processing industry. Because immediately after harvesting, we can convert this raw material into a semi-processed food, that is called a primary process. That is possible only at the rural areas. Add value to the agriculture raw materials, both food and non-food, through their processing into marketable, usable, or edible products. Simply just a fruit, we can peel it, we can wash it, we can grade it on the basis of color, size, shape, that will add the value. Therefore, this is a very simple technique that needs to be adopted at the rural areas so that that can increase the value. Enhance the income and profitability of the producers through the FPOs, farmers producer societies or companies. Now it can be possible, and government is providing the subsidies, financial assistance for the establishing this type of the network. Bring forth the profits and additional income to the producer, so that whatever the middlemen can eliminate, so that farmer can become a seller or they can market their own products. So this can be possible. Now, what are the significance of this agro-processing sector in India? Because agro-processing industries in rural areas, that will be one of the sustainable way that will reduce the post-harvest losses, so that 40% losses we can reduce. We can generate the employment in rural areas. If you invest 1 lakh rupees, then we will get the one, can provide the job to the one person. If you invest a 10 lakh, then it will generate a 10 employment. So that the employment generation directly related with the investment. So the income generation through the value addition, that will reduce the poverty alleviation, socio-economic status will be increased or improved. Then by exporting, we can earn the foreign exchange, and APEDA is helping us, Agriculture Produce Export Development Authority of India. This is helping to the farmers or farmers group for in order to promote the export. And through the export promotion, we can earn the foreign exchange or dollar, so that our economy will be strengthened. So that will lead to the wealth. Then what are the different sectors in agriculture? We can see that fruit and vegetable processing, dairy sector, livestock management, then goat farming, milk processing, meat and poultry for rearing the poultry birds or buffaloes or goats, then marine or freshwater fishes we can grow in the ponds. The scheme, ambitious scheme implemented by the government of Maharashtra. Grain processing, that is a cereal and legume processing, oils and fats, alcoholic beverages, particularly in India, is a hub of the beverages, so that because of the quality of these water and the barley malt are producing it. So and particularly in Maharashtra, wineries are there, particularly out of the 75 wineries, 63 wineries are in Maharashtra, the hub of the wineries, and it has benefited to the grape growing farmers. They have cultivated specific varieties of the grapes used for they are exporting the. So such type of the agricultural technologies we have to adopt. Then India rising the high on food demand curve. It is most important. When earlier in 1980s or 90s we were at the bottom, that we are only growing commodities only for our subsistence or for livelihood or surviving, particularly carbohydrate staple food, rice and millets and wheat. But now we have improved our agriculture. Now we are moved ahead, that we are progressing. We are in the line of India, China, Latin America. We are growing the dairy meat product, fresh fruit juices, and processed product. We are also exporting. Therefore, mass market and convenience food services we are now established ventures, and now we are growing. But our target is we should consume the diet or functional food, organic. Organic foods are now the Switzerland of the country. They are growing the 100% organic. In India, in the Sikkim state, they are having the organic cultivation and organic food production. But it is not sufficient for all countries. Therefore, we have to have an integrated approach. Reducing these chemical fertilizers, insecticide, pesticide, we have to use the biopesticide, bioherbicides, bioweedicides, and the biofertilizers or organic manures. Now the Indian food trends, that is the now after pandemic, it has been changed. So big trend that can be derived from the consumer behavior are they require the safe food, free from any preservative, free from any hazards, free from any chemicals. That should be a convenience. It is easy to consume, easy to transport, easy to carry. It should have the health benefits or wellness. We are not only consuming the food without knowing. So we have to think about the nutritional content and health benefits of particular. Example, organic foods, all natural and traditional vegan foods. This is the trend is changing. The 100% organic, 90% organic, vegan foods are now ready to eat, ready to consume, ready to fry, ready to drink. All the foods are demanded by the consumer. The functional foods for specific disease or specific deficiencies, you can have a specific food or a nutraceuticals. And therefore, in case of the Indian food trend, IT platforms are playing very important role. That is information communication technology. You might be knowing the Zomato, Swiggy, Food Pathshala, they are coming. There's IT platforms and e-initiatives for delivery of the food systems, and they are earning more than the manufacturer. These are the service sectors. They are growing very rapidly. The scope for the development, particularly in the agriculture sector, for the sustainable development, we have to adopt the cooperative methods. You might be knowing we are having the marginal land. By and large, farmers are in very small land, marginal land, which is not economic. They don't have economic holding. Therefore, we have to adopt the group farming, cooperative methods for the cultivation. In particularly, I have seen in Israel, they are having the group farming. All the village, they are sit together, villagers are sit together. They are planning for this total area of the land they are belonging, particularly 500 acres. They are growing one or two crops, having all the technologies. Even when you are buying the seed from particular company, they are ready to come and hand over this technology to the farmers. So such type of the adopted cooperative methods of group farming, and government has also passed one regulation for the group farmers. Credit facility and agro-based industrial awareness under the Prime Minister's formalization of food processing industries. Government is providing financial systems. Even Nanaji Deshmukh Krishi Sanjeevani Yojana, they are also providing the input under the efficient market systems. So that should be convenient to farmers to sell their commodities through the Agriculture Market Producing Committee, APMC. Then development of marketing strategy, how much quantity is to be produced, is to be exported, is to be converted into processed product, and how much quantity is to be sent for the direct consumption. So the e-marketing or e-commerce or e-trading, infrastructure development for storages, for the supply chain management, for the cold storage or refer containers, and transportation and communication linkages with the metro cities, so that consumers are in the cities, density is in the urban areas, and producer on the rural areas. So the gap needs to be bridged. So these are strength of the agro produce. Particularly, I have taken example of this Maharashtra, because we are having the largest producer of onions, capsicum, fruits, vegetables, few areas. Strength of processing, we are having the different clusters, mega food park and food park. So we are converting packaging houses. We are having pack houses for export. And one of the Sahyadri farmers, one of these farmers or producer company, having turnover of about 3,000 crores. They are sending their commodity in 23 countries. And this is the first company owned by the farmers, Sahyadri at Nashik. This is a good example for this farmer producer company. And they are now actively involved in export of the fresh commodities and processed products, and they are having the green initiatives also. So in order to achieve this target, or we want to become sustainable, then our Indian economy needs to be linked with or coupled with this processing, that is agro-based industry through the Make in India, so that when the Indian economy will have a manufacturing sector in agriculture, definitely it will lead to boost the Indian economy. So in order to increase GDP, agriculture sector will not be alone responsible. When agriculture will be converted into agropreneurship, then our GDP will be increased. Then what strategy we have to undertake in order to achieve this target? That we have to define the product. We have to take the GI particularly for product. Then we have to have the good, safe and quality product, price, place, promotion, particularly for agro-based industries. Then with the marketing strategy, that is planning, management, branding, offline integrations, then social media outreach, optimization of the process, conversion analysis, website design. Through this product plus marketing strategy, we can establish a brand just like Amul, just like a Dhara. Such type of the cooperative brands have been established, and then we will have the change in agriculture from agriculture to the agriculture. The brand will be established on the basis of these customers' preferences, management, novelty or innovations, and planning. So it is a teamwork, and different if you undertake the strategies, definitely it will lead to a development, sustainable development. Therefore, one-stop solution to have more agri startups, agriculture to the agripreneurship, we have to convert. So let's begin with the innovative agriculture entrepreneurship startups. But when we look at the figures, that is not very encouraging, because the least startups have been observed in the agriculture sector, which is less than 8%. But when you think about the IT sectors, healthcare and life sciences, we'll have the more than 15 to 16% startups in IT sectors. But there is need to increase this agriculture and food and beverages sectors more investments. So out of total startup, only 8% in the agriculture. Then energy technologies, which is sustainable, we have to think about to improve the energy services for developing world populations, more efficient biomass stores. We have to convert the biomass into energy to reduce the fuel use and reduce the hazardous smoke emissions. Simple motor-driven systems for pumping waters or grinding grain to reduce the burden of their physically demanding tasks on women and the energy efficient pumps. Fertilizers and mechanical tractions to improve the agriculture productivity. So the energy, where we totally depend upon these bullocks, but nowadays we are depending upon the machines, and those are consuming the fuel. So that we have to find out the energy efficient system. Just I have quoted some examples here. That is a resource energy efficiency optimization through the awareness. The KPIT company that is Karthikeyan Pandit Information Technologies, located at Pune, they have a reduction in the fresh water consumption through the technological innovation. They have revamped the sprinkler system by eliminating the use of fresh water for the gardening purpose. Detailed survey carried out identifying and arresting the water leakages in the premises, and water resource adjusted at different outlets for minimizing the wastage of the water. So we have to save the water. We have to use the concept of dry toilets, particularly in Israel. I have seen all everything is use the dry toilets for reduction in the consumption of water. They are recycling the water because Tel Aviv is located in near the sea, but the quality of water is not used for the agriculture because of the high salinity. Therefore, they have recycled and they have reduced this hardness and they are using to the agriculture. The employee engagement and education through the postal screen savers and saving of water consumption by 22%, 14,500 cubic meter per annum. Second example, the environmental technologies in order for many developing countries, provision of the basic water, sewer and refuse disposal services are major environmental priorities. These are the areas where spending on environmental technologies is concentrated. Developing countries need more sanitary services systems serving rural and urban areas. We are experiencing the pictures at rural areas, how the sanitation systems are available, so that there is need to improve this sanitary service. Electric power, chemical sector, petroleum refining, steel sector, paper, food, textile and other process industries are potential major buyers of this environmental technology because minimum pollution concept is there. Therefore, they have to use this green energy. Then waste, we have to convert the waste to energy. So the Hindustan Unilever Limited, located at Nashik, they have converted the waste into energy from gas produced through the ETP sludge digestion. This facilitated anaerobic digestion, converting a part of the organic waste into methane. Methane gas is then fed into the engine for generating electricity and used to power the street. Biogas plant capacity is around 2,500 kg per day. And the gas produces approximately 175 cubic meter per day, which is equivalent to 78 kg of the LPG or 315 kilowatt hour per day. So the total investment in the 56 lakhs in 2013, now the estimated savings of the project lifetime is 100 lakh. So such types of technologies we have to adopt. Technology for the local development, particularly in rural areas, conducted of community-based projects for resource-efficient residential architecture, solar greenhouses, zero energy cool chambers. This is a very good concept for storing the foods, just like a solar refrigerator or solar cool chamber. Small farm systems, farmer markets, resource recovery from the municipal solid waste, wastewater treatment, energy generation and healthcare systems we have to use. So we have to promote these solar energies in rural areas, particularly solar pumps, solar cookers, solar dryers, solar heaters, so that we can use this as energy. Second is the rooftop solar photovoltaic panels that Mahindra Life Spaces, and location of the intervention in Chennai, and realizing the uncertainty in electricity supply because load shedding is there. So there is not a continuous supply of the electricity in rural areas. Therefore, and to lessen the dependency on the power utility, Mahindra Life Spaces installed a 75 kilowatt solar plant at their site. Diesel generators were used earlier, but frequently diesel prices hikes were increasing cost of generation. They also cause air and noise pollution. So they have, instead of using diesel, they are using this solar energy. Estimated annual generation in 1,16,000 kilowatt hours. Estimated saving electricity bills 8%. So this Prime Minister Surya Ghar Yojana, then government is providing subsidy, and now we are in position to have these solar systems at our home. Now they enhance the energy efficiency in agriculture. So we are always, whatever the technology we are using, that is very efficient to increase the area under the biofuel cultivation, modification in irrigation facilities. We are using the drip irrigation, micro irrigation, so that we can reduce the use of the waters. Then mitigation of the climate change, that is afforestation is most important. We have to increase the plantations. Adoption of these community transport systems. So one person is using the vehicle, so that community system needs to be strengthened. In most of the developed countries, the system is successfully operated. Even Mumbai also, even having the class 1 officers, or they are using these local trains. So such type of the public systems need to be strengthened. It should be used. Promote to use the energy efficient equipment having the 5-star rating, so that we can save this. Promote the use of the renewable energy sources, that is solar heater, wind energy, solar cooker, solar dryer, hydro energy, biomass, solar. All this should be used. Therefore, our solution is the solar conduction dryers that will having the nutrition impact. Nutrients can be preserved 1/10 of the life cycle cost compared to the conventional electric dryers or mechanical dryers. Capital cost can reduce 5 times. So lesser than solar dryers, minimal carbon footprint, attractive payback period, superior drying, quality of the raw material will be good after even processing, and wide variety of the products handled, fruits, vegetables, spices, fresh, and variety of meat. We are very fortunate we have ample of sunlight. So how these farmers can have impact, 50% increase in profit, nutritional improvement in one farmer, provide market linkages so shelf life can be increased, because we are reducing the water so that the bulk is reduced and the shelf life can be increased. 40% reduction in the post-harvest losses when immediately the perishable commodity when put under this solar dryer. Increase in shelf life 6 to 12 months. Women empowerment, then it will create the employment opportunity in the rural areas. Then we have to promote the use of biofuel, because they are knowing that biomass can be converted into biofuel, and the government also given permission with bio. So the grown for fuel or biomass can be converted into a bio. So that where the biomass we have to convert to the technology. That we have to adopt this adoption of the 3R concept in industry. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. This technology we have to use so that we can protect the environment. We can reduce the load, excess load on the environment. So what are the sustainable development? We have to think about the different goals. The 17 goals we have set, and India has also adopted this sustainable development by and according to the policy as we made. The first our sustainable development goal is no poverty. Means there is no any person having the below living under the poverty. So this is one target. Second is the zero hunger, no one behind hungry, so that we have to provide food, sufficient food to him. And third sustainable goal is good health and well-being. Fourth is the quality education. We have to provide the quality education, and through the national education policy, it is expected that all these education will get improved, and the person will having the skills, life skills, and will become the dependent or self-reliant. Then gender equality, sixth, clean water and sanitization is most important. Seventh is the affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, that is the dignity for our work, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. This is most important sector. And APJ Abdul Kalam said that they identified the certain areas. If you work in that particular area, definitely our country will become the developed country. So 10th is the reduce inequalities, because we are having the very variation among these different section across the community or society. Therefore, there should be a minimum gap. Then sustainable cities and communities, then responsible consumption and production. Third, the climate action in order to protect the environment or planet. Life below the water, life on land should be improved. Peace, justice, and strong institution. The 17th goal is the partnership for the achievement of the sustainable development with the developed countries. So in collaboration, we have to achieve this target by 2020. Then our country will become a developed country. We have to take threefold actions. Particularly, we have identified instead of 17, we have identified certain goals that we can fulfill or we can achieve by 2030. So we have to depend upon the policy reforms, climate and inclusion, and information communication technologies use. So the policy reforms that consist of investing in rural development. So huge investment is required. So through CSR fund and through the central government and even direct foreign investment in rural areas, through the research and technology, complementary investments, policy actions, social protections, so social provide social security, self-sufficient and subsidy program, Atmanirbhar villages, self-reliant villages were established, trade catalyst, so though we have to develop this market, agriculture market in rural areas only, wider agriculture markets, regional and global initiatives. This is the policy consideration and food waste energy security. That is the Asian Development Bank. They have focus on the pricing and subsidies for the development under their food security forum. Programs and regulation were to undertake. Then engaging stakeholders, implementation of the various government schemes effectively and efficiently. Market integrations, because we are having the number of the markets, breaker techniques, big market, supermarket, hypermarket, small market, mandis, even bazaars, all these should be interlinked so that they will give better remunerative prices to the farmers. So the cross-border sharings, these are some issues along with the food, water and energy security. Then climate resilience, agriculture. So depending upon if there is a alkaline soil, then we have to develop the crop that will grow in alkaline condition. If soil is very acidic, then we have to develop such variety that grow in that certain conditions. Climatic, tropical and subtropical climate condition we are having. So accordingly you can use. Then integrated approaches, agroforestry systems, crop livestock integrations, because we are experiencing that we don't have the animal population is decreasing, ever decreasing, because we don't have the grazing lands. Therefore, we have to develop such type of the lands for particular agroforestry and livestock. Crop production, cropping pattern and rotation needs to be developed. We are only focusing on the cash crops instead of our requirements. Crop selection and plant breeding. So such type of varieties having the high yield needs to be encouraged. Efficiency and management, system of rice intensification, plant population needs to be increased. Particularly in case of horticulture, we have taken a technology from the Israel, that is a high density planting. We are planting the mangoes by 15 by 15 meters. Now it is reduced 5 by 5 meters. Even ultra high density technology come up, which are having 2.5 meter, 5 meter plant to plant distance, so that number of the plants, maximum plants can be accommodated, and the per acre plant population will increase, and that will leads to the higher yield. So such type of the technologies, those are very appropriate and suitable for our system can be employed. So the research and development, skill development and infrastructure, these are three important aspects need to be executed in order to have the climate resilient agriculture. Then this is the one of the institute located at Baramati, Maharashtra, that is called as the National Institute of Abiotic Stress Management. That means the study has been undertaken in this institute that at adverse condition, how the crop can be grown. Adverse condition in terms of soil, in terms of water, if we are having saline water, the high pH water, then how the varieties can be. So these are the techniques can be developed in this, that is called as a laboratory, and from this whatever the recommendations are coming up, that will transfer through the demonstration and training to the farmers, and they are adopting such type of the techniques which is very appropriate, and that will give the sustainable solution. Then the inclusive agriculture is most important. That is the crucial links are farmers, fishermen, and foresters. So the agri-business and supply chain and market that needs to be established for the sustainable agriculture. And financial sectors, particularly for the giving subsidies, bank sectors, and insurance, crop insurance, or the livestock insurance for these animals, particularly those are rare. So such type of the sectors need to be strengthened. For human development, access to the education and health, particularly agriculture education, training, demonstration, health of the farmers, knowledge and skills need to be transferred. So the agriculture skills need to be transferred to them. Safety nets and social protection, so the social security needs to be provided. This is the for the agriculture development. The third one is the use of information communication technology and food chain. In agriculture, we have to use this technology so that we can use the number of the techniques, that is SMS, the prediction of the crop, which crop is under cultivation, how much yield will come, how it can be utilized or it can be used for further disposed for the direct consumption or processed product or export. So on the basis of these technological services, particularly we can use the drone technology, we can use the primary production, the mobile application and some apps are used, aggregation and processing, distribution. So the processor will know in particular village, they will get the 1,000 tons of these fruits or vegetables for their processing. So on the basis of use of technology, the one will come or needy person will know the quantity is now available for the purchase or procurement. Retail and marketing and consumer education. So this is the radio frequency identification technique that can be used particularly for the distribution pattern and for retail marketing and consumer education. Satellite images for knowing the infestation or the having the idea about the total yield. Agriculture trading and tenant platforms. So the distribution system or supply chain management system, we can use this technology for retail or marketing or consumer education. Online insurance platforms, so for particular livestock or crop, we can use such type of these techniques. We can buy the insurance online. An online and mobile payment platform. So we can use such type of this. We are using this UPI or these online banking, online apps for the making the payments in agriculture sector. What can we do? We can reduce the greenhouses emission from agriculture by using sustainable ways solutions. We can encourage organic farming in our this 5-year plan. Our Prime Minister has emphasized on this organic farming and organic food production. Agriculture for quality production, a change in cropping pattern, cropping time and rotation, so that health of the soil can be improved. Renewable energy, we have to use this clean energy, renewable energy, adopt modern technologies, particularly green technologies. Those will result into lower emission or pollutant. Use of the byproduct and waste management is most important, particularly in case of the processing industry. Particularly, I will put the example of mango industry. If you buy the Alfonso mango at the rate of 200 or 300 per kg, out of the total 1 kg product, you will get the 50% wastage, that is skin or peel or the stone. So you are buying the skin or peel or stone at the rate of 200 per kg. Only yield is 50%. So we have to develop the variety in such a way that 70% pulp should be there. So and such of a peel and stone can be utilized for the fuel or for extraction of the bio ingredients or the bioactive compounds, so that will add the value. So we have to reduce this waste and we have to convert the waste into wealth. Safety in industry, that is hazards, chemical hazards, biological hazards or physical hazards, that is needs to be removed. Food security and surveillance, that is most important. And natural resource management is most, whatever the natural resources we are having, we have to use it very cautiously, very effectively and efficiently, so that it can be made available for the next generation. Policy for trade of agriculture products. So the APMC or the agriculture marketing strategies needs to be revamped. So we aspire our prosperous farmer or developed India. Vikashit Bharat 2047, where we are dreaming so the farmer should be prosperous, so that what we can do. What we want this planet devastated or a peaceful planet. So this is picture we can see here. We want the peaceful planet. Therefore, the choice is ours. Therefore, our today's action is our future. So to take appropriate action today, definitely it will do a bright future. So the Einstein said that innovation for a secure future. You want to secure our future, our next generation futures. So the today's problems cannot be solved if we still think the way we thought when we created them. When the problem is created, then we have to find out the solution immediately. If the problems is left for longer time, it becomes very difficult. Therefore, we have to understand that when the problem is created, that should be resolved on that particular when it is created. So this is Alpha times. So thank you very much for patience hearing. If you have any question or any doubt, any clarity, so I will happy to answer your questions. I try to finish within a time. Is there any question or queries? You can note down my details if you require. Rakesh sir,
Sir, I think there is no questions. I request Indurkar sir, please propose the vote of thanks and conclude the session.
ओके मॅम ओके. आजच्या लेक्चरमध्ये सरांचा मी बायोडाटा वाचला तेव्हाच मला आयडिया आली होती सर या विषयावर बोलतील असं. तर सस्टेनेबल डेव्हलपमेंट त्यासाठी जे गोल सेट केले यावर सरांनी आपल्याला अत्यंत माहितीपूर्ण असं व्याख्यान दिलेलं आहे. आणि विकसित भारत होण्यासाठी शेतकऱ्याचे जीवनमान उंचवले पाहिजे आणि ते वाढवण्यासाठी काय काय करायला पाहिजे याचं सरांनी विस्तृत असं मार्गदर्शन केलं, ज्याच्यामध्ये वेस्ट पासून एनर्जी कशी बनवायची, सोलार कंडक्शन पॅनलचा वापर कसा करायचा आणि 3R अडॉप्ट कशा करायचे, ज्यामध्ये रिड्यूस, रियूज, रिप्रोड्यूस यावर सरांनी भर दिला. तर इतर सर्व लेक्चर प्रमाणे सरांचे हे लेक्चर सुद्धा खूप इन्फॉर्मेटिव्ह आणि नॉलेजेबल असं होतं. तर तुमचे खरंच मनापासून धन्यवाद मानतो. आणि
चालेल, धन्यवाद.
सर्व पार्टिसिपेंटच्या वतीने मी तुमचा आभारी आहे. धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद. थोडस इंग्रजीमधून सांगावं लागलं कारण बरेचसे पार्टिसिपंट हे महाराष्ट्राच्या
नाही
बाहेरचे
पूर्ण
असल्यामुळे.
टेक्नॉलॉजिकल टर्म्स होते सर, पूर्ण ते टेक्नॉलॉजी टर्म्स होते. ते आम्ही फक्त स्क्रीनशॉट काढून घेतले. म्हटलं शांततेत बघूया, एवढं महत्वाचं लेक्चर आहे. ते लिहिण्यात नोट्स काही बनवता नाही आल्या, परंतु सर्व स्क्रीनशॉट अवेलेबल करून घेतले आम्ही आमच्याकडे सर.
मराठीत मी जास्त सांगू शकलो नाही कारण बाकीच्यांना अडचण आली असते त्याच्यापेक्षा.
बरोबर.
चालेल,
धन्यवाद.
थँक्यू व्हेरी मच फॉर युअर पेशंट हिअरिंग.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All participants, there is the next session by Shirsad sir, so please keep login. Do not left the meeting.
Hello. Hello,
sir. Good afternoon.
I have already joined and waiting for your approval to begin the session.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay. We have just concluded first session.
Yes, I know. I was witnessing that.
Yes, sir. Very good afternoon. Hello, I am Dr. Snehal Bagul, and I'm taking the opportunity to introduce our today's guest, Senior Professor Dr. M.D. Shirsat sir. Dr. Mahendra Shirsat sir is presently working as a Senior Professor in the Department of Physics, Director of RUSA, Center for Advanced Sensor Technology, and Head of the Department of Electronics and Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar. He has shouldered several other administrative responsibilities at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University as a Registrar 2015-16, Director at Incubation and Innovation Linkage 2018, Director for Internal Quality Assurance Cell 2017-19, and Director at Academic Staff College 2018-13. Sir also was the head Department of Physics 2013-16 and Director of DDU Kaushalya Kendra 2013-2021. Sir was a postdoctoral fellow and visiting scientist at Department of Chemical and Environmental Engineering, University of California, Riverside, USA from 2007 to 2009. Sir also visiting principal. He was principal fellow at University of Wollongong, Australia in 2006. He was also visiting professor at Hanyang University, South Korea 2013 and National Taiwan University of Science and Technology, Taiwan in 2016, 2018 and 2022. Sir also was a visiting professor under National Scholarship Program of Slovak Republic at Communist University, Bratislava, Slovakia, Europe, March to December 2023. Professor Dr. Shirsat sir has 36 years of experience in teaching, research, and innovation. He has 13 years of administrative experience. He has 283 research publications to his credit. Out of these 215 research papers publication from SCI, Scopus, Web of Science indexed journals, peer-reviewed journals, and 68 from national peer-reviewed journals. His H index is 40 and I-10 index is 132. His work is cited around 5,726 times on Google Scholar and H index 36 citations, 4,680 on Scopus. His cumulative impact factor is 630, with the highest impact factor of 16.74 Thomson Reuters. He has 2 patents on his credit, one is granted and one is published. Sir also has a successfully supervised 26 PhD and 5 postdoctoral scholars. Presently, 2 postdoctoral scholars and 10 PhD scholars are working under him. He has undertaken 26 major research projects and infrastructural projects. Some are ongoing and completed at the national and international level with the total grant of 17.19 crores from various funding agencies. Professor Shirsat sir has established the Center for Advanced Sensor Technology for the development for sensor with state-of-the-art facilities in the area of material synthesis, characterization, and device fabrication. Sir also has played a vital role in establishing Deen Dayal Upadhyay Kaushal Kendra, formerly Center for Vocational Education and Training, and Department of Electronics, and started BHOC, MHOC, and MSc to impart skill-based education in the area of electronics, industrial automation, and automobile technology. Sir also played a pivotal role in the capacity of IQAC director during 3rd cycle of NAC accreditation at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar to secure an A grade with a 3.2022 CGPA. He has visited many universities in foreign countries, including the United States, Australia, Japan, France, United Kingdom, Slovakia, South Korea, Taiwan, Germany, Hungary, Czech Republic, Australia, Switzerland, Thailand, and Hong Kong. This is a very impressive profile, sir. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Snail madam, for a wonderful introduction. Madam, I need I mean a kind of information regarding audience which we are having today. How many teachers are from science and technology discipline? Do you have any idea?
Sir, there are some from science background. I mean, few. Actually, there are many from the arts background, science
Acha,
background, and
okay.
management one.
Okay, most of you are from humanities. Okay.
Yes,
And
there
how
are
many
mixed
are out
crowd.
of state of Maharashtra?
Sir, out of state of Maharashtra, there was 5 to 6 participants.
There are 5 to 6 ones. And mainly they are from southern part of the country or northern part of the country?
Well, I need to ask them.
Okay, because the reason why I'm asking is if they are from southern part, they will not be able to understand Hindi also. Because I wanted to have a bilingual presentation. So if they can understand, they can respond. Like if it is okay for them to speak in Hindi, English, then I can prefer that. Otherwise, I will stick up to English mode of, I mean, language would be, mode of presentation would be in English. So they can respond.
Sir,
They can, and they
yes,
cannot
sir.
unmute themselves.
English would be better.
English would be better. Okay. So they cannot unmute themselves, right? They are being muted by the regulators, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, fine. Let me share my presentation then. Okay. Madam, can you please confirm whether my screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, madam. At the outset, let me express my sincere thanks to the director of this center, Professor Patil, and the deputy director, Dr. Rafe, for inviting me to share my experiences in this particular area. I will be deliberating today on drafting of research manuscript. So let me tell you right in the beginning that I'm not going to, because this is not going to be, a conventional lecture. This would be a kind of storytelling. Okay. So I will be sharing whatever experiences I have, because I have gathered since last almost 35 years in this particular field. I will be sharing those experiences. Okay. So this is not a conventional lecture. Okay. Had this been offline session, I would prefer to have interaction in between as well. But since you all are muted, you will not be able to, speak in between. Otherwise, you are most welcome. But what I will try my level best is I will try to finish it by at least 1:45, so that we will have at least 15 minutes for interaction. So kindly prepare your questionnaires while I will be speaking, and those questions can be raised, or any if you are having any queries, those queries can be raised, and I will be very happy to respond to your queries. So this is going to be outline of my deliberation today. So initially, I will be sharing my idea about key aspect of drafting research manuscript, and then what kind of ethical issues we need to declare before we submit. Then I will be discussing in detail manuscript template. Okay, and then the kind of procedure we will have to follow after submission of manuscript, and then I will be summarizing. Now, when we talked about the publication, in fact, the publishing research work is an very important activity as we are working in academic institution, because everybody would like to publish their data. Everybody would like to publish their data in good journal. Truly speaking, there will not be any single faculty member or teacher who will be interested to publish their data in substandard journal. Unfortunately, there are many substandard journal is a kind of like a flooding of substandard journals we will be having nowadays. Those journals are peer reviewed, conventionally a peer reviewed journal, And this is what UGC is expecting, because whenever you will be submitting your proposal for recognition of PhD supervisor or PhD thesis or whatever, they will be asking us like how many peer-reviewed journal publication you have. And as far as the peer-reviewed journal is concerned, I mean, any journal can be peer-reviewed. There are many journals which are being published from University Gate. There are many journals, and they all are peer-reviewed. So even if I have seen, because I have seen many people, they are publishing their data in those journals, and then they are getting PhDs, they are getting PhD guideship as well. But truly speaking, if you really want, of course, you can get PhD, you can get PhD guide recognition, but you will not get any reputation out of that. If you really want you to be recognized across the globe, not only in the jurisdiction of the institution where you are working, if you want you to be recognized across the globe, and if you want you to be eligible for getting different fellowships as international level, because there are plenty of fellowships at international level, plenty. If you are youngster, like in the beginning phase of your career, there are many postdoctoral opportunities you will be having till age of till you reach 40 years of your age. And whenever you will be crossing 40 years of age, there are n number of opportunities available across the globe for visiting professors, visiting researchers. But at the end of the day, whenever you will be submitting a proposal, they will be looking into your CVs, and then what kind of research platform you have utilized for publication of your research outcome. So unless you publish your data in reputed journal, journal of international repute, which are being recognized across the globe, nobody is going to recognize you, and you are not going to get any recognition across the globe. Now, the problem is sometimes student or even teachers, they have a kind of fear in their mind that if they choose a good reputed journal which has got international reputation, their paper might get rejected. So they have a kind of fear of rejection. But let me tell you, my friend, rejection is going to be very normal. So although we are very much, publishing data in academic institution is very, very important for us. But you need to understand the fact that the rejection is very normal phenomena. We should not have any, a fear about it. Truly speaking, in the beginning phase, like I will always advise. I usually advise my student, whenever they are willing to publish their very first research paper out of their research outcome. I always advise them to go for a very standard journal, which has having more than 10 impact factors, Thomson Reuters impact factor. Because you see, again, like as far as the impact factor is concerned, there are, various journals, they are claiming impact factor like anything. But unless that impact factor is Thomson Reuters, it is not going to be, you are not going to get any recognition at international level. Forget about international level. Even within the university, within your own college, you are not going to get any recognition as such, any reputation as such, unless you publish your data in Thomson Reuters impact factor journal. So I always ask my student to submit their research findings in the beginning to very high impact factor journal. The reason for that is, whenever you will be submitting your first research paper to very high impact journal, very standard impact journal, your research paper is bound to be rejected, most likely, right? But let me tell you, my friend, whenever your paper is going to be rejected, you are going to get, like, that is going to be a wonderful opportunity for student or anybody to learn many things, because failure is always going to provide us opportunity to make the corrections. So, because nobody is idle in the universe, whenever you will be commencing your research, whether you are PhD student or teacher in the beginning phase of their career, they are bound to commit mistake, and those mistakes need to be corrected right at the early stage. If those mistakes are not being corrected at the early stage, those mistakes are going to be amplified over the time, and then later on, whenever you will be a senior person, then nobody is going to challenge, nobody is going to speak in front of you, but everybody is going to criticize you behind you. Okay, so therefore it is always need to understand that rejection is going to be very normal whenever you will be submitting research paper in very, very reputed journal. Now the question is, we need to understand why my manuscript got rejected. That is very, very important. As I mentioned, failure is wonderful opportunity for learning. Whenever we are saying this, we need to understand that if my paper got rejected, I need to understand, I need to do a kind of introspection, that what I mean, very systematic analysis of my research paper, that why my manuscript got rejected, right? Overall, let me tell you why. I mean, in general, because this is what my experience over the years. If I take sample of any 10 research scholars across the country, this I'm not talking about the direction of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, but I'm talking about the entire country as a whole. If you take a sample of any 10 thesis or any 10 PhD student or PhD scholar, or sample of any 10 researcher, the researcher could be teachers or a student, you will find that out of those 10, around 20 to 30% researchers are very genuine, committed, and they are publishing their data in very, very good impact journal, and which has got social relevance as well. Because nowadays, every journal is going to look into that aspect too. Because it's not only the quality, the another aspect which is going to be looked into by the reviewer is what kind of societal relevance you have in your publication. Unless you have societal relevance, your data is not going to be accepted. This is going to be one of the that I'm going to tell you later on in detail. But whenever you will be submitting your paper, a reviewer is going to do the quick screening of your research paper. And what he is going to do, he is going to check what kind of novelty it has. If it doesn't have novelty, then paper is going to be rejected. And then deficiency in quality of drafting. You see, there are two aspects. Like number one, like as I mentioned, uh, whenever let's say I am a reviewer or editor of any journal, what I'm going to do whenever I will be, because I have experience of working as a deputy editor and co-editor of many international journal of repute. So what usually we do is whenever we received a manuscript, we do a quick scanning of that manuscript, a quick screening of manuscript, and we first of all we check what kind of novelty it has. Whenever we are talking about novelty, because novelty word is very simple, it looks very simple, but truly speaking, we need to be. I'm going to tell you, if, in order to ensure novelty, what to be done and what not to be done. So if that manuscript has a lack of novelty, obviously that manuscript is not going to enter into the review process, and it is going to be sent back to the author, mentioning that your work doesn't have any novelty. Or sometimes journal may not use that word, but they will be saying that we have a huge paper in queue, and therefore we cannot accept all the papers. Your paper is going to be rejected. But remember, whenever your paper is rejected without review, it means that it has a novelty problem. Number two, sometimes like your paper must be having novelty, but somehow you don't have a skills drafting manuscript, because convincing reviewer that you have a novelty again is an art. Drafting manuscript is truly speaking an art, because it's not only the quality of quality of your research, it's also the skill, what kind of skill set you have for publication, for drafting your manuscript. That is also equally important. So sometimes even if you have a novelty, but somehow your drafting skills are not good, adequate, and as a result of that, you could not convince the reviewer or editor that you have novelty, and your paper is going to be returned back. So these are the two prominent reasons why your papers are getting rejected. So that kind of introspection need to be done. Like whenever you are, as I mentioned, that the rejection is very normal, but at the same time, we need to understand why my paper got rejected. And if you could do the serious, analysis of your manuscript, you will come to know that yes, there were few shortcomings, and as a result of that, my manuscript got rejected. Now, what are the key aspects of drafting research manuscript? Like I'm just looking into the perspective of the reviewer. Let us say like I'm reviewer of the one journal or editor of the journal. So what I'm going to look into that manuscript, what I'm expecting from the author, what I'm expecting, these are 4 points which I will be looking into the manuscript. Number one, novelty. Number two, social relevance. Number three, the credibility of the researcher. And number four, the drafting skill of research scholars. So all those 4 aspects are going to be looked into by the reviewer. We will go one by one very systematically how novelty can be inculcated. The question is, Although these 4 points are going to be checked by the seriously by the reviewer or editor, then question is how that can be ensured that novelty is going to be reflected in the manuscript. Okay, I'm going to spend some time on this to begin with, and then I will be going to the template of the manuscript. Number one, novelty. Novelty can be ensured by following these 4 steps. Number one, rigorous literature review. What do you mean by rigorous literature review? Rigorous literature review in terms of the quality and in terms of the quantity. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सबसे पहले तो ये कि भाई आप कितने पेपर्स का रिव्यू कर रहे हो, हाउ मेनी पेपर्स यू आर रिव्यूइंग, right? That is very, very important, because whenever you are drafting one manuscript and reviewing only couple of papers, it is not going to serve the purpose, because like literature review is meant for identification of the gaps. So gaps could be identified only when if you have a bigger cross section of the research paper. So number matters. तो आप कितने papers review कर रहे हो, that is very, very important. So that is what we call as quantity. Now, as far as quality is concerned, which papers you are referring, what is the platform which the others have used, मतलब कौन से papers आप use कर रहे हो. So that is why it is very, very important. What you need to do is, when I talked about the quality of the manuscript, the second point is going to be very, very important. You need to do one exercise. You means like the researcher, right? You need not be like, if you are PhD advisor, you should ask your research scholar to follow these steps to ensure novelty in the publication in your like manuscript. Number 2 is identification of journal of international repute. सबसे पहले ये समझना होगा कि journal of international repute के मायने क्या है, right? What are the parameters, right? So that need to be understood, that need to be very categorically understood. So number 1, what is impact factor, right? One of the parameter for international journal of international repute is what is the parameter of what is the impact factor, yearly impact factor. Now yearly impact factor भी आजकल बहुत सारे जर्नल्स है, जैसे मैंने कहा कि यूनिवर्सिटी गेट पे there are many journals, right? वो क्लेम करते कि हमारा 12, 13, 14, 15, 5 like that. So they claim that their impact factor is very high, but the question is whether it is Thomson Reuters. So आप देखिए कि वो Thomson Reuters कैटेगरी में आता है क्या, whether they are claiming. Okay, so the first very much important checking point is going to be whether the impact factor is, whenever we talked about high impact factor, ensure that it is a Thomson Reuters impact factor. Number 1. Number 2, indexing क्या है, which indexing they are using. जो पेपर आप रेफर कर रहे हो, if you are from science discipline, I would advise you to go for Science Citation Index, SCI, Scopus Index Journal, Web of Science Index Journal. So these are the 3 very important databases, 3 important indices which need to be use whenever you will be referring journal. तो आप देखिए, आप ensure करिए कि आप जो journal literature review के लिए use कर रहे हो, whether they are from SCI, whether they are from Scopus Index, whether they are from Web of Science Index Journal, right? If you are from social sciences, then instead of SCI, there would be SSCI, like Social Science Citation Index, right? Instead of Science Citation Index, there is a different index which is called as Social Science Citation Index. There is one more citation index, Humanities and Arts Citation Index. So these are for all social science teachers, Humanities and Arts Citation Index. Scopus and Web of Science is multidisciplinary. Like even the social science teacher, commerce and management teacher, anybody can find their journal in Scopus Index Journal. Anybody can find their journal in Web of Science Index Journal. Web of Science doesn't mean that only related to science and technology. It is open. These are multidisciplinary research platform where the data can be published. तो आप इंटरनेशनल रेप्यूट की जब बात आती है, तो पहले तो आप देखिए कि थॉमसन रूटर इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर है क्या, दूसरा उसका इंडाइसिस क्या है. जैसे मैंने बताया, अगर उस इंडाइसिस के जर्नल्स आप रेफर करोगे, तब के आप then and then only you will be able to identify the gaps. Otherwise gap identification will not be you will not be able to identify the gap. The reason for that is, जैसे कि मान लो मैं औरंगाबाद में रहता हूँ, and then I am just looking at the papers, journals which are being published in Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, right? In the jurisdiction of Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar. Then I will not be able to understand what is happening elsewhere. अगर मुझे नॉवेल्टी अगर इंश्योर करनी है, तो इट्स नॉट ओनली छत्रपति संभाजीनगर, इट्स नॉट ओनली महाराष्ट्र, इट्स नॉट ओनली इंडिया, आई नीड टू गो बियॉन्ड दैट. right? I need to see like what is happening globally in that particular area. Unless I do that, I'm not going to ensure the novelty. So identification of journal of international repute is going to be very, very important. So you should advise your student, or if you are a researcher, you should make it sure that you are very much clear about what are the parameters. So yearly impact factor is one. Then 2 years impact factor भी है, 5 years impact factor भी है. Then there are many other parameters as well. Scimago rank, journal rank क्या है? So there are many other parameters as well apart from the yearly and 5-year impact factor. Even if forget about all other parameters, आप जो मैंने बताया इतने भी पैरामीटर देख लिए, that is more than enough. आप उसका देखिए yearly impact factor क्या है, 5 years impact factor क्या है, वो impact factor whether it is from Thomson Reuters, and then indices जो मैंने बताया. If you could do this, all these parameters, your job is done. You will be able to identify the gaps in true sense, and you will be able to make a plan to address those gaps so that the novelty can be addressed. Next point is identification of journal in your focus area. That is also equally important. खाली मतलब अच्छे रेपुटेशन, ऐसा नहीं कि स्कोपस इंडेक्स मैंने आइडेंटिफाई कर दिया, इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर बहुत अच्छा है, थॉमसन रूटर का है, but whether that journal which you have identified, whether that journal is being referred or being used by most of the research scholar जो जिस एरिया में आप काम करते हो. So let us say you are working on one, let us say sensors for example, right? Sensor नाम सभी को पता है. So if whatever the reputed journal you have identified, only 2% of research papers are from your field, then that journal is not going to be good for you. मतलब खाली 2% पेपर्स आपके एरिया के अगर उस जर्नल में पब्लिश होते हैं, तो that journal is not going to be good for you. At least around 50% of paper in those journals should be from your area. So it means you need to identify journal in your focus area. That is also equally important. Otherwise आपको पता नहीं चलेगा कि आपके टॉपिक में, आपके एरिया में, दुनिया में क्या काम हो रहा है. And the fourth very important step is identification of potential research groups across the globe. This is very, very important step, my friend. Why it is important? I can quote the example. You see, for example, there are two different research groups working in one particular area. It is quite obvious ना, जिस एरिया में आप काम कर रहे हो, ऐसे जरूरी तो नहीं ना दुनिया में खाली आप अकेले होंगे. There could be more than one group at least, एक से ज्यादा तो होंगे. ट्रूली स्पीकिंग बहुत सारे ग्रुप काम कर रहे होंगे उस पर्टिकुलर एरिया में, दुनिया में जिस पर्टिकुलर एरिया में आप काम करते हो. व्हाट यू नीड टू डू इज you need to identify the potential research group working across the globe. मतलब पूरी दुनिया में जिस टॉपिक पे आप काम कर रहे हो, आइडेंटिफाई कर लीजिए कि कहाँ लोग इस ग्रुप में काम, इस पर्टिकुलर रिसर्च एरिया पे काम करते हो. Why it is important? Okay, I can tell you. Let us say आपको पता नहीं है, एक ग्रुप है कि जो जैसे कि न्यू दिल्ली में एक कोई ग्रुप है जो काम करता है उसी एरिया में जिस एरिया में आप काम कर रहे हो. It could be matter of coincidence that जिस समय पे आपने लिटरेचर रिव्यू शुरू किया था, हो सकता है शायद उसी समय पे उसने भी लिटरेचर रिव्यू शुरू किया होगा. So let us say if I am doing literature review today, and if my competitor doing literature review today, the kind of gaps I will be identifying, he will be also able to identify the similar kind of gap, क्योंकि वो काम तब तक हो चुका नहीं था. तो जो गैप आपको दिखाई दे रहे हैं, वो गैप he must have identified. Accordingly, you must have planned. He must have also planned. Then accordingly, you must have started working. He must have started working. आपने भी काम करना शुरू किया, उसने भी काम करना शुरू किया. आपको भी 2-3 महीने के बाद, 5 महीने के बाद, 6 महीने के बाद कुछ रिसर्च डेटा मिला, उनको भी मिला. बट यू सी लेटर ऑन आपने क्या किया, थोड़ा स्लो डाउन हो गया. मतलब डेटा तो आपको मिला, बट मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट ड्राफ्टिंग में आप स्लो डाउन हो गए. एंड ही वाज क्विक इनफ टू ड्राफ्ट द मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट एंड सबमिट इट. So by that time you are, because since you are late, by that time you are submitting manuscript, वो बंदे तो already publish कर चुके हैं. तो जो नॉवेल आइडिया था रेफरेंस वर्क करते समय, लिटरेचर रिव्यू करते समय, पब्लिश करते समय, वो नॉवेल नहीं रहा because the other group went ahead of you. So you lost the novelty. Your paper is not going to be published. So my friend, what we need to do is, if you really want to publish your data in good journal, you need to keep track of what is happening elsewhere. तो मतलब मोटे मोटे तौर पर आपको आइडेंटिफाई करना पड़ेगा कि कौन कौन काम कर रहे हैं। इसके लिए बहुत रिगरस लिटरेचर रिव्यू करना जरूरी है। ये अगर करते तो ही हम नॉवेल्टी एंश्योर कर सकते हैं। नेक्स्ट पॉइंट है सोशल रेलेवेंस एंड नेशनल इंपॉर्टेंस। जैसे मैंने कहा कि दिस इज आल्सो इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट। नाउअडेज मोस्ट ऑफ द गुड जर्नल्स दे आर गोइंग टू सी whatever research you have produced, whether that has some societal relevance, whether the outcome of research are going to be useful for addressing one or other societal issues. If it is not there, then आपका research data publish, even if it is novel, still it is not going to be published. अच्छे जर्नल की बात कर रहा हूं मैं, जहां आप सोच रहे कि बेटर एंड बेटर इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर, बेटर एंड बेटर इंडेक्स, बेटर एंड बेटर रेपुटेशन ऑफ दैट जर्नल, जब आप सोच रहे हो वहां पर कंपटीशन भी बहुत ज्यादा होगी, तो वो एक एडिशनल पैरामीटर्स रहेंगे। अपार्ट फ्रॉम नॉवेल्टी दे विल बी आस्किंग फॉर सोसाइटल रेलेवेंस एज वेल। तो ये कैसे कर सकते, ये भी इसका भी तरीका है। व्हाट यू नीड टू डू इज राइट इन द बिगिनिंग ऑफ योर रिसर्च व्हाट यू नीड टू डू, यू नीड टू फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल डू द इंट्रोस्पेक्शन। मतलब आप खुद को जानिए, अपने स्ट्रेंथ को जानिए, आपकी वीकनेसेस को जानिए। सो लेट अस प्रिपेयर द लिस्ट ऑफ, लाइक मतलब why it is needed, because you need to understand what you can do and what you cannot do. आपकी स्ट्रेंथ क्या है, क्या आपको आता है और क्या नहीं आता है, दैट इज ऑल्सो इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट। बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि हम रिसर्च करते समय हमारे कुछ वीकनेसेस होती है और उसी एरिया में हम काम करते रहते हैं फॉर वन और अदर रीजन, so you will not be able to excel in that, in those areas. So you need to first of all identify your strength in true sense, and then start identifying issues pertaining to your area of expertise. जो एरिया ऑफ एक्सपर्टीज आपकी है, अकॉर्डिंगली आपके इर्द गिर्द जो इश्यूज है, सोसाइटल इश्यूज है, उसको आइडेंटिफाई करना शुरू करिए। सो यू विल बी हैविंग लिस्ट ऑफ स्ट्रेंथ एंड लिस्ट ऑफ the issues around you, societal issues, and try to do the mapping. आप देखिए कि कौन सा issues prioritize आपको करना है, किसकी ज्यादा प्रायोरिटी है, and then whether you have some skill set for that, addressing those issues, because that is also equally important. It's not only identification of the issues, but वो जो प्रॉब्लम आपने आइडेंटिफाई किया, क्या आपके पास स्किल सेट है, क्या आपके पास नॉलेज है उसको एड्रेस करने के लिए। सो ट्राई टू डू द मैपिंग एंड डिसाइड द प्रायोरिटीज। मान लो आपकी जितने भी स्ट्रेंथ है, जितने भी इश्यूज आपने आइडेंटिफाई किए, सबके लिए आपके पास स्ट्रेंथ है, बट प्रायोरिटीज उसको प्रायोरिटाइज करिए। देखिए कि आपको सबसे ज्यादा प्रायोरिटी किसकी है, बाय कीपिंग नेशन वाइड काइंड ऑफ इम्पोर्टेंस, और जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के कुछ डायरेक्टिव्स होते हैं कि दीज आर द प्रायोरिटी एरियाज in which the government is expecting some data, government is expecting some R&D. So that kind of priorities you need to select, and then you can start working on those area. If you could do this, obviously the societal relevance can be ensured. So this is how the societal relevance can be ensured. And then third one is credibility. जब भी आप डेटा पब्लिश करने जाते हो तो क्विकली रिव्यूअर या एडिटर आपका नाम गूगल स्कॉलर में डालेगा, एमडी सिरसाट ने आज तक क्या किया सब दिखाई देगा गूगल स्कॉलर में, राइट। या स्कोपस ऑथर प्रीव्यू आप अगर गूगल में लिखोगे और वहां पर आपको एक स्कोपस का वेबसाइट आएगा, आप उसमें अगर नाम लिखोगे तो आपको पूरा दिखाई देगा कि आपके स्कोपस पब्लिकेशन क्या है। वैसे वेब ऑफ साइंस का जो वेबसाइट है, वहां पर आप अगर नाम डालोगे तो आपको वेब ऑफ साइंस में कितने पेपर्स है वो सब पता चलेगा। मतलब वो जो रिसर्चर है उसकी क्रेडिबिलिटी क्या है, बिकॉज यूजुअली आपकी अगर क्रेडिबिलिटी अच्छी नहीं है तो आपके पेपर्स अच्छे जर्नल में पब्लिश नहीं होते। तो क्वेश्चन ये होगा आपके पास कि इफ यू आर लाइक इन द बिगिनिंग फेज ऑफ योर रिसर्च, यू विल नॉट बी हैविंग पब्लिश ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड पब्लिकेशन का, तो आपका ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड नहीं दिखा जाएगा, आपके जो एडवाइजर है, बिकॉज एडवाइजर का ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड होगा, वो अगर आपको एडवाइस करे तो उन्होंने तो ऑलरेडी पीएचडी की है, काफी सालों से वो काम कर रहे हैं, उनका तो क्रेडिबिलिटी होनी चाहिए। सो द क्रेडिबिलिटी ऑफ द फर्स्ट ऑथर जो स्टूडेंट होता है एंड द लास्ट ऑथर जो करस्पॉन्डिंग ऑथर होता है, पीएचडी एडवाइजर, वो दोनों की क्रेडिबिलिटी देखी जाती है। अगर वो क्रेडिबिलिटी अगर अच्छी है, अगर देखा जाए कि उनका प्रीवियस पब्लिश वर्क अच्छा है, इवन नॉट ओनली द पब्लिश वर्क, दे आर गोइंग टू लुक सी द वेबसाइट ऑफ द रेस्पेक्टिव ऑथर्स एज वेल। मान लो आप डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब अम्बेडकर मराठवाड़ा यूनिवर्सिटी के डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ फिजिक्स में काम कर रहे हो, तो ही विल go to the Department of Physics website. He will see your page and what kind of facilities you have and all that. So everything is going to be looked into. This credibility जो अच्छे जर्नल्स है ये सब देखते हैं, इसीलिए अच्छे जर्नल में पेपर पब्लिश करना इतना आसान नहीं है, but it's not going to be impossible. If you are very sincere researcher, it is quite doable, right? So these are three aspects, and third aspect is drafting skill. व्हेन इट कम्स टू द ड्राफ्टिंग स्किल, फिर यहाँ पर आएगा कि हाउ इफेक्टिवली यू आर ड्राफ्टिंग मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट, कंसिस्टेंसी क्या है, आपने वो मटेरियल जो कंटेंट आपने आइडेंटिफाई किया अप्रोप्रिएट किया कि नहीं, राइटिंग एंड कंपोजिशन इश्यूज कुछ है क्या, आपकी इफेक्टिव स्टाइल कैसी है, स्टाइल आपकी इफेक्टिव है या नहीं. सो ऑल दोज इश्यूज आर गोइंग टू बी लुक इनटू व्हेनेवर, मतलब कोई भी अगर मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट पढ़ेगा ना, पढ़ते समय पता चलेगा कि यार कितना अच्छा है. So that is very very important. So today we are going to look into that, and these are the common content error, like misleading title. बहुत बार misleading होता है. आपको, आपने अगर, आप में से अगर कोई अच्छे रिसर्चर होंगे जिन्होंने अच्छे जर्नल में आपका अपना पेपर्स अगर सबमिट किया होगा, तो बहुत बार ये कमेंट आता है कि आपका टाइटल जो है दैट इज मिसलीडिंग, इट इज मिसमैचिंग, आपने जो लिखा है, रिसर्च किया है, उससे वो मेल नहीं खाता. सो दैट काइंड ऑफ कमेंट्स आर ऑलवेज गोइंग टू बी देयर फ्रॉम reviewer whenever you will be submitting paper to good journal. Inaccurate abstract, because abstract में क्या होना चाहिए क्या नहीं होना चाहिए, next में इसमें आता हूँ मैं. Incomplete introduction में क्या होना चाहिए वो मैं आपको बताने वाला हूँ. मेथड जो होते हैं वहां पर हम कॉपी पेस्ट करते बहुत बार, हमारे जो पहले अगर पेपर है या किसी और का पेपर है, सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ मेथड्स वे इफ यू आर यूजिंग, we always tempted to copy and paste that in our journals. Omitted results, बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि हमारे पास बहुत सारे रिजल्ट्स होते हैं, so and you will be very confused that which is to be omitted and which is to be considered for publication. Illogical discussion भी बहुत important होता है. I'm going to look into that aspect. And irrelevant conclusion. So these are some of the common content errors usually the reviewer going to identify. So let us assume that आपका पूरा तैयारी हो चुका है, आपने बहुत अच्छा रिसर्च किया है, एक्सपेरिमेंटल हो या डेटा सर्वे का हो, whatever. So you could have done experiment, very extensive experiment, or you have done very extensive a survey kind of data collections, right? And now you are ready to go, right? तो सब कुछ होने से पहले आपको फिर से लिटरेचर रिव्यू करना जरूरी है. जैसे मैंने बताया कि जो 6 महीने पहले जो आपने लिटरेचर रिव्यू किया था, काम शुरू करने से पहले, काम खत्म होने के बाद, वंस अगेन यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि अभी क्या हो रहा है. जो नॉवेल कंसेप्ट आपका था 6 महीने पहले, वेदर स्टिल इट हैज गॉट सेम नॉवेल्टी. अगर नहीं है, उसका पार्शियली अगर किसी ने पब्लिश किया होगा, तो आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि उसको प्रेजेंटेशन करते समय कैसे प्रेजेंट करें. सो दैट द स्टेट ऑफ द आर्ट नीड टू बी अंडरस्टूड, right? The present status need to be understood कि what is happening around us. क्या हमने नॉवेल्टी जो क्लेम की थी, वो नॉवेल्टी अभी भी रिटर्न हम कर रहे हैं. And that is why this exercise need to be done, like viva analysis. तो viva analysis में क्या important है, what like current and previous studies क्या है, available information क्या है, what kind of gaps we have, like all those questions are going to be very very important, which need to be addressed whenever you will be doing viva analysis. आपने मान लो सब कुछ किया, नेक्स्ट होगा कि इथिकल इश्यूज में क्या होगा कि कंफ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट. जैसे कि मान लो आप 4-5 रिसर्चर है, तो आपका भी कंफ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है क्या, वो अगर है तो पुट इट ऑन पेपर, हैव अ रिजोल्यूशन कि हमारा कोई कंफ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट नहीं है. जैसे कि कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि you might be working on a DRDO project or ISRO project. So at that time, you will not be able to publish your data directly. You need to obtain the clearance certificate from those organizations, because that data is going to be related to a very, very confidential research of that particular organization. आप अगर clinical trials कर रहे हो, एनिमल पे अगर आपका रिसर्च हो, तो आपके इंस्टीट्यूशन का जो रिव्यू बोर्ड होता है, उसका अप्रूवल आपको लेना पड़ेगा. सो ऑल दोस थिंग्स नीड टू बी डन. अगर मान लो आप ह्यूमन बीइंग पे कुछ काम कर रहे हो, कुछ कंक्लूजन निकाल रहे हो, तो उसके लिए भी आपको अप्रूवल्स की जरूरत पड़ती है. नाउ नेक्स्ट वुड बी स्टाइल एंड लैंग्वेज. तो आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा कि यू नीड टू रेफर वेरी, मतलब जैसे मैंने कहा कि जो जर्नल्स का पहले जो बताया था मैंने, वो देखिए कि आप कौन सी जर्नल में डेटा पब्लिश करना चाहते हो. यू आइडेंटिफाई गुड जर्नल, सी द गाइडलाइंस, ओके, and then accordingly you just plan. Okay, so first step होगा कि select your journal carefully, read the aims and scope. देखिए कि whatever research you have got, whether it fit into the aim and scope of that journal, and think about the target audience. That is very very important, क्योंकि target audience क्या है वो देखिए. And the level of your work, do you have any realistic chance being accepted. मतलब वो देखिए कि वो particular journal के expectations क्या है, टारगेट ऑडियंस क्या है, एंड यू जस्ट keep a track of you understood कि आपका जो research है उसका level क्या है, whether you will be having realistic chance to get your research paper through the review process. वो आप देखिए. If you are convinced with that, then follow the guidelines carefully and then start drafting your research article. Right now, as far as the submission is concerned, there are many journals now. वो पूरा online submission होता है. मतलब everything, all the process are going to be online. मतलब आपको online submit करना है, और review process online होगी. आपको सभी मतलब reviewer के comments आपको आएंगे. Everything is going to be online. So that you need to be very careful about it. This is the manuscript template. You see, irrespective of the journal, this is going to be a kind of generalized, template. Title, author affiliations, abstract, keywords, introduction, materials and method, results, tables, discussions, conclusions, acknowledgement of fundings and all that, and references. So by and large, this is going to be a template. Now let us come to the title of the manuscript. You see, the title is very, very important. जब भी आपके पास, जैसे कि आप न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ रहे हो, whenever you will be reading newspaper, जो टाइटल कैची टाइटल होते हैं ना, वो न्यूज आप सबसे पहले पढ़ेंगे. बिकॉज वाइल रीडिंग न्यूज़पेपर हम क्या करते हैं, क्विक रिव्यू करते पूरे पेजेस का. जो टाइटल्स हमें कैची लगते हैं वो हम पहले पढ़ते. So this is what it is going to happen, right? So whenever your paper is going to go to the reviewer देखेगा कि यार टाइटल कितना अट्रैक्टिव है. टाइटल नीड टू बी अटेंशन ग्रैबिंग. अगर अटेंशन ग्रैबिंग नहीं रहा, बहुत ही रटार्ड मतलब टाइप का रहा, तो मतलब बोरिंग रहा, तो वो उसका माइंडसेट बनेगा कि यार ये तो ऐसे ही पेपर है. तो यू हैव टू बी वेरी, वेरी केयरफुल एंड देन सी द जनरल गाइडलाइंस एज वेल. Try to keep it as short as you can. There is no thumb rule as such, but around 150 characters होने चाहिए around. Okay. And then avoid filler word like case study of, effect of, comparison of, क्योंकि ये ज्यादातर हम यही गलतियां करते. ज्यादातर पेपर्स में ये रहती, इन्वेस्टिगेशन ऑफ, केस स्टडी ऑफ, इफेक्ट ऑफ, कंपैरिजन ऑफ. ये फिलर वर्ड नहीं होने चाहिए टाइटल में. डोंट यूज एनी क्वेश्चंस, कंप्लीट सेंटेंस नहीं होने चाहिए. Don't use any abbreviation in the title, right? So these are some of the guidelines. So I'm going to give you one example how the better title can be generated, right? So in order to generate better title, you can do this exercise. Okay. So what kind of exercise you have to do? So answer some basic questions about your paper, about your research, I would say, right? So number one, what my paper is all about, right? उसका जवाब क्या हो सकता है? ये hypothetically मैंने लिखा है. Your case could be different. Like what my paper is all about. My answer could be, my paper studies on how the administration of drugs digoxin adversely affects heart patient. आपको बताऊं कि when I did my PhD, I was working on this particular aspect because I did computer simulation of the electrical activities of human heart. तो तब हमने देखा था कि ये जो डिगोक्सिन नाम का जो ड्रग्स है, दिस इज बीइंग प्रिस्क्राइब्ड फॉर ऑरिकुलर फाइब्रिलेशन. ऑरिकुलर फाइब्रिलेशन मतलब हार्ट जो ज्यादा बीट करता है. ऑन एन एवरेज हमारे 72 पल्स रेट होना चाहिए, लेकिन बहुत 100 से ऊपर होता है. मान लो बहुत ज्यादा जब होता है, मे बी 120, मोर देन 120 और समथिंग ऑफ दैट सर, वी कॉल इट इज अ फाइब्रिलेशन, राइट? ऑरिकुलर फाइब्रिलेशन इन पर्टिकुलर, क्योंकि हार्ट में हमारे दो सेक्शन होते, ऑट्रियम एंड वेंट्रिकल्स. तो ये ऑरिकुलर फाइब्रिलेशन पे ज्यादातर ये ड्रग्स दिया जाता. बट व्हाट वी ऑब्जर्व इज this drug is going to create some adverse effect on sinus node, which is called as pacemaker, natural pacemaker. So what methods and techniques did I use to perform my study? I employed case study. Okay. What or who was the subject of my study? I studied 100 heart patients having age group of 40 to 60. ये सब questions है जो उसके मैं आंसर दे रहा हूँ. What were the results or what are my results? Some of the patients have developed abnormalities like related to sinus node after administration of drug digoxin. जैसे मैंने बताया कि हमने भी ये पाया था because I did this research. So what we observed is ये digoxin लेने के बाद कुछ पेशेंट्स में उनका साइनस नोड जो नेचुरल पेसमेकर होता है उसमें कुछ abnormalities क्रिएट होते थे. Some of, not every patient, but some of the patient. Number were very less, but it was the case. So let us assume that these are some of the questions which I raised and I got some responses. What is next step? Next step is identify and list the keywords and phrases out of those your answers. तो जो पहले क्वेश्चन का आंसर था मेरा, माय पेपर स्टडीज ऑन हाउ द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ड्रग दिगोजिन एडवर्सली अफेक्ट हार्ट पेशेंट, उसमें जो कीवर्ड्स है, फ्रेजेस है, मैंने डार्क किए, जैसे कि एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ ड्रग्स दिगोजिन, हार्ट पेशेंट, केस स्टडी, 100 हार्ट पेशेंट्स, एज ग्रुप ऑफ 40 to 60, डेवलप अबनॉर्मलिटी, साइनस नोड, ये चारों जो सवाल थे मेरे, जो रिस्पॉन्सेस है मेरे चारों सवाल के, वो रिस्पॉन्सेस के कुछ कीवर्ड्स एंड फ्रेजेस को मैंने आइडेंटिफाई किया. Then on the basis of those, like keywords and phrases, I can write a very long statement. So that long statement was the study used case study of 100 heart patient in the age group of 40 to 60 years to assess how the administration of drug digoxin adversely affect heart patients. Results indicate some of the patients have developed abnormalities related to sinus node of the heart after administration of drugs. मतलब क्या किया हमने, सवाल किए, उसके रिस्पॉन्सेस लिए, उसके कुछ phrases and keywords identify किए, and on the basis of those keywords and phrases we have framed a very long statement, right? But this long statement cannot be a title because this is very long, right? Next step is create a working title. कैसे? Delete unnecessary and redundant words and keep all the most important information. Shift some words around and rephrase to make it sound more natural. मतलब कुछ वर्ड को आप रिफ्रेश करिए, कुछ जो रिडंडेंट है, अननेसेसरी, उसको डिलीट करिए, एंड इंपॉर्टेंट को आप रखिए. So accordingly, this long statement I have converted into a small statement. What is that? A case study of 100 heart transplant patient in the age group of 40 to 60 years to assess the impact of administration of drug digoxin in developing abnormalities related to sinus node. मतलब ये जो long statement था, इससे तो ये छोटा हुआ, but still it has 33 words, and on an average journal is expecting the title in around 16 or lesser word, or maybe around 20, not more than 20, right? अब ये तो 33 हुए, अब क्या करना है? Now next step is delete extra words. जो एक्स्ट्रा वर्ड है ना, जैसे मैंने पहले बताया था कि केस स्टडी ऑफ, ये नहीं होना चाहिए टाइटल में, राइट? इन द एज ग्रुप ऑफ 40 से 60, ये भी नहीं हो रहा तो चलता है. एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ ड्रग्स, दैट आल्सो कैन बी ड्रॉप. डेवलपिंग abnormalities, that also can be dropped. And then identify those extra words and drop those, right? And you can see the fine-tune the title could be assessing the adverse impact of digoxin on sinus node in heart patients. कितने वर्ड्स हो रहे हैं? 12 वर्ड्स रहे. सो यू कैन सी दिस इज वेरी कैची. बहुत ज्यादा वर्डी नहीं है, बहुत ज्यादा बोरिंग नहीं है, क्योंकि अगर पढ़ते पढ़ते अगर मान लो वो बिल्कुल उसको लग रहा है कि यार मुझे पानी पीना पड़ेगा, तो इट्स गोइंग टू बी वेरी वेरी चैलेंजिंग फॉर यू टू कन्विंस रिव्यूअर. Or at the most, you can have the title like this: Assessing Adverse Impact of Digoxin on Sinus Node, a case study of heart patient of ages 40 to 60. But I will recommend this. Here there are 18 words, here there are 20 words, 12 words. So I will recommend this. So this is how the titles can be finalized. This is another example. This is related to the science and technology discipline. Chemiresistive sensor based on porphyrin modified reduced graphene oxide for detection of carbon monoxide. ये इसमें 18 के आसपास वर्ड है, आप अगर गिनेंगे तो दिस इज ऑल्सो वेरी गुड. बट यही वर्ड को अगर मान लो आप, अगर किसी ने ऐसा लिखा, इन्वेस्टिगेशन ऑन मॉडिफिकेशन ऑफ रिड्यूस्ड ग्राफीन ऑक्साइड बाय वेरियस free base and metal substituted porphyrin and its use in chemiresistive modality for detection of carbon monoxide. मतलब यहाँ पर I try to explain everything which is not expected, right? However, in this title, first title, it is like very brief and short and catchy title. So this is how the title need to be finalized. Now next is going to be a title page. Now what does the title page will be consisting of? It will be consisting of list of authors, author affiliation, corresponding authors, running title, abstract, keywords, and list of abbreviation. So I'm going to give you one example. You can see this is example of my own paper. You can see here, you can see this is the title, and you can see this title as well. Not very big title, very small title, right? And then authors, their affiliations, abstract, keywords. So this is going to be a title page. So the title page need to be the next task. Okay. Then next would be author listing, right? Author listing में एक करना चाहिए. only include those authors who have made intellectual contribution to the research. Second, or those who will publicly defend the data and conclusion and who have approved the final version. देखिए हमारे पास क्या होता है ना, बहुत बार हम इतने सारे ऑथर्स के नाम लिखते हैं कि जिन्होंने कुछ किया नहीं उनका भी नाम हम डाल देते हैं, हमारे दोस्त है या whatever, right? You should not do that, because whenever you are putting, truly speaking, those who have done, who have contributed in that particular paper, either in experimental work or data survey or interpretation or drafting of manuscript or editing of manuscript or something of that sort, those authors should be included. Moreover, the authors who are going to publicly defend the conclusions, only those should be ethically included. Otherwise, if you are including authors which doesn't have any contribution, that is going to be unethical in research. Okay. Now next come abstract. Abstract में क्या होना चाहिए और क्या नहीं होना चाहिए. देखिए सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट ये है कि टाइटल होने के बाद abstract बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. रिव्यूअर क्या करेगा, सबसे पहले देखेगा कि यार इसका abstract कितना impactful है. That is going to be very very important. Abstract usually it varies from 200 to 300 words, but it could be 150 words as well, depending on the guidelines of the particular journal. तो अगर मुझे कोई पूछता है तो it is going to be like vary from 150 to 300 words. तो ये 150 to 300 words में आपको तीन चीजें रिफ्लेक्ट करनी होगी. नंबर 1, what you have done. Number 2, how you have done. And number 3, what you have achieved. These three questions need to be answered in your abstract. What you have done मतलब आपके objectives क्या थे, right? How you have done मतलब which methods you have used, and what you have achieved means prominent results क्या है. मतलब आपने ये तीन important जो aspect है, if you could reflect those three aspect in the abstract, your job is done. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि यार वो रिव्यूअर बेचारा ढूंढते रहता है कि यार ये बंदे ने क्या किया, कैसे किया और रिजल्ट्स क्या है. ये तीनों बातें छोड़कर बाकी सब कुछ होता है, लेकिन तीन चीजें नहीं होती. द पेपर इज गोइंग टू बी straightway rejected. So this is very very important whenever you will be looking for the abstract. और बहुत कुछ है, क्योंकि मेरे पास समय की पाबंदी है, इसलिए अब ज्यादा मैं एक्सप्लेन कर नहीं पाऊंगा. Nowadays there are graphical abstract as well. Okay. अब देखिए कि ये मेरे खुद का पेपर है, उसमें बहुत साल पहले हमने फिजिकल केमिस्ट्री सी में पब्लिश किया था. तो इसमें ग्राफिकल ये जो है ये दिस इज ग्राफिकल abstract, because this is now the emerging trend in most of the reputed journal. Apart from your text abstract, they will be asking you to provide the graphical abstract as well. तो जो टेक्स्ट में आप लिख ले वो ग्राफिकल फॉर्म में भी आपको देना पड़ेगा. ये उसका एग्जांपल है. So as I mentioned earlier, if you look at this, I'm not going to read this, but if you look at this, in first paragraph we try to mention what we have done. In second paragraph we try to mention how we have done, and in third paragraph we try to mention what are our prominent results. So this is how you have to do in the manuscript. ये कुछ graphical abstract के कुछ examples है. This is, I mean, ये सब मेरे पेपर्स के graphical के एग्जाम्पल्स मैंने कोट किया. नेक्स्ट वुड बी इंट्रोडक्शन. इंट्रोडक्शन भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. abstract के बाद में इंट्रोडक्शन सबसे पहले पड़ेगा. आपको मैं बताऊं कि जो मैंने पहले तीन बातें जो बताई थी ना, नॉवेल्टी, सोसाइटल रिलेवेंस एंड क्रेडिबिलिटी, तीनों एस्पेक्ट जो है you will have to reflect in introduction section, because the reviewer is going to see what kind of novelty we have. That can be reflected only in introduction section. Of course that can be substantiated in result and discussion, but यहाँ पर आपको claim करने पड़ेंगे, right? Second, societal relevance, वो भी आपको introduction section में ही उसका जिक्र करना पड़ेगा. And third is your credibility, आपने क्या किया है. So that need to be very very explicitly reflected in introduction section. जो मैंने पहले बताया था, novelty, social relevance and credibility. एक एग्जाम्पल है, आप अगर देखेंगे ये दो पैराग्राफ है जिसमें हमने नॉवेल्टी बताने की कोशिश की, जिसमें हमने बताने की कोशिश की कि अभी तक लोगों ने क्या काम किया है, what work has been already done and how our work is different from the earlier published work. So this is how the novelty can be reflected. Social relevance, ये basically ये सेंसर का पेपर है. हमने बेंजीन, टोल्यून एंड ज़ाइलीन, these are very carcinogenic gases. तो हमने यहाँ लिखने की कोशिश की कि ये these gases are very carcinogenic, and if you don't do the research on those kind of sensors for detection of those gases, it is going to be if you could do it, it's going to be good for the societal contribution. So ये social relevance यहाँ पर हमने reflect करने की कोशिश की. And then credibility, यहाँ पर हमने बताने की कोशिश की कि what we have done in this particular, in the line of this particular research paper, what is our earlier contribution, हमने पहले क्या क्या papers publish किए, इससे related, not like if it is not related then again it is not going to be accepted. इससे related आपने पहले क्या काम किया, that has been reflected in this credibility. Next is going to be experimental details. अगर आप theoretical काम कर रहे हो तो experimental details नहीं होंगे, but if you are doing experimental work then आप वहां पर आप detail mention करिए कि what kind of materials you have used, what kind of techniques you have used, you know, all those experimental details can be reflected in the experimental details section. Next would be methods. Methods मतलब क्या है कि मान लो आपने कुछ डेटा इंटरप्रेट करने के लिए कुछ मेथड्स यूज किए. All those methods can be need to be you know, data interpretation के लिए, data collection के लिए. Like for example, if you are doing literature survey based आपका research अगर है, so then in order to collect the data, in order to have the interaction with the subjects, what kind of methodology you have used. So all those methods need to be written very meticulously in the method section. And then यहाँ पर whenever we are talking about the survey kind of research, यहाँ पर आपको मतलब किस cross section of the society, which cross section of the society you have identified for collection of data, location क्या था, data collection की frequency क्या थी, participant जो थे जिनसे आपने data collect किया, जिससे लिया data, उनका वो how you have identified those, what were the eligibility criteria, selections के criteria क्या थे, all those things need to be reflected very meticulously and very clearly in the method section. Variables अगर है तो what are the variables, यहाँ पर biases भी मतलब limitations आपके studies के, क्योंकि that also need to be defined, you know, like unless you define limitations, जो रिव्यूअर आपको पकड़ेगा कि these are the shortcomings of your research data. So those limitations can also be reflected. जो मेथड्स आपने यूज किए वो मेथड्स के लिमिटेशन सबसे पहले मेथड्स में आनी चाहिए, एंड देन लेटर ऑन यू कैन मेंशन इन द रिसर्च एंड डिस्कशन सेक्शन एज वेल. ये पर्टिकुलर एग्जांपल है जिसमें स्टडी का साइज यहाँ पर मेंशन किया है, रिक्रूटमेंट रेट यहाँ पर मेंशन किया है, एंड देन डेटा कलेक्शन कहाँ से किया, कैसे किया, उसका जिक्र यहाँ पर है. सो दैट नीड टू बी देयर. Then agar statistical methods, if you use some statistical methods for interpretation of data, then you need to mention that whether those methods are, whether you have developed those statistical method. If you have developed, then you need to explain all the details of that new statistical method. If you have used earlier published statistical method for interpretation of your data, then you can refer those. So all those things need to be discussed very clearly. When it comes to the research, क्योंकि ये तो होगा methods, experimentals and methods. Research, when it comes to the research could be in the form of, I mean, like this is going to be very important. Like जो आपका important findings है वो आप research के form में लिख सकते हो. Now research could be सबसे पहले तो आप देखिए कि research आप किस टाइप की research है, tables है, figures है, ये सब कुछ जो है data आपके discussion से पहले होना चाहिए या रिजल्ट एंड डिस्कशन एक साथ होना चाहिए, बिकॉज देयर आर डिफरेंट अप्रोचेस. देयर आर सम जर्नल दे विल एक्सपेक्टिंग दैट ऑल योर टेबल्स एंड फिगर्स शुड बी फर्स्ट एंड देन लेटर ऑन योर डिस्कशन पार्ट you can write it. There are many journal they will be asking that result and discussion should be together. You put the figure and explain it, right? So but anyway, yeah, you need to identify which I mean you need to understand the kind of expectation from that journal. So this is one particular example. You can have line graph. Okay, so line graph has some advantage. What are the advantage? Line graphs are especially effective for showing trends. मान लो कुछ trends आपको बताना है तो you can use line graph, right? There are different ways to present your result. Then this is the anatomy of the figure. Whenever we are talking about figure, उसके जो x-axis label है, y-axis labels है, then उसके जो minor tick है, major tick है, and the figure के captions है, those figure captions should be readable. जैसे कि आप देखिए ये फिगर देखिए यहाँ पर आप एक्स एक्सिस वाई एक्सिस लेबल, कैप्शन, पॉइंट, टिक, एवरीथिंग इज वेरी मच रीडेबल. So this kind of figures are expected. You can see this is another example. लेकिन बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि लोग जो है वो टिक मार्क भी क्लियर दिखते नहीं, एक्स एक्सिस वाई एक्सिस लेबल से ही दिखते नहीं, यहाँ जो लेजेंड्स होते हैं वो क्लियर दिखते नहीं. Even if you can see, even if these figures are small, but all the figures can be like all those aspects are readable. That is very very important. I thought कि आपको कुछ example बताऊं. Now when it comes to the table, कभी कभी टेबल भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं, बिकॉज टेबल्स आर यूजफुल व्हेन यू नीड टू प्रेजेंट द क्वांटिटी ऑफ न्यूमेरिकल डेटा. मतलब आपको अगर कुछ एब्सोल्यूट डेटा बताना है, ट्रेंड है, तो यू कैन यूज दैट लाइन ग्राफ. बट whenever you want to do show the absolute data, in that case table is going to be better way to represent. So आपको डिसाइड करना पड़ेगा कि आपके रिसर्च का इंटेंट क्या है, राइट. Sometimes bar chart भी important होते हैं, because histogram और bar chart are good when you want to compare the discrete atom. क्योंकि इसके बार के अपन अलग अलग कलर्स भी अलग अलग दे सकते हो, डिजाइनिंग अलग अलग दे सकते हो, क्योंकि आप डिस्क्रीट एटम को कंपेयर कर सकते हो. this if you really want to do this kind of comparison, this cannot be done with line graph or table. This can be done with only bar chart and histogram. So you need to decide what kind of expectation you have. And then these are some of the example of images. Images कुछ अलग अलग भी हो सकती है, हमारे field emission scanning microscope की images है, but images could be different. Now when it comes to the discussion, it is a kind of storytelling. It is a kind of storytelling. The story has beginning, middle and end. The same thing is going to be here also. In the beginning phase of this story, what you need to do is you need to state the answers and summarize the main finding. बिकॉज क्वेश्चंस आपने रेस किए थे, कहां पर आपने कुछ क्लेम किए थे इंट्रोडक्शन में, बिकॉज इंट्रोडक्शन इज मेंट फॉर क्लेमिंग समथिंग एंड रिजल्टेंट डिस्कशन इज मेंट फॉर सब्सटेंशिएटिंग योर क्लेम्स which you have made in the introduction. So introduction में जो क्वेश्चन आपने खुद रेस किए थे, you have to state the answers and summarize those main findings in the beginning phase of the storytelling in discussion. Middle will be explain those answers. जो answers आपने स्टेट किए या समराइज किए पहले, आपको उसको डिटेल में एक्सप्लेन करने हैं, एंड सी हाउ इट फिट्स विद एन अर्लियर पब्लिश वर्क, बिकॉज दिस इज वेयर द नॉवेल्टी कैन बी सब्सटेंशिएटेड. जैसे मैंने कहा कि यू विल बी क्लेमिंग नॉवेल्टी इन द इंट्रोडक्शन, बट दैट नीड टू बी सब्सटेंशिएटेड इन द डिस्कशन पार्ट. सो दिस इज वेयर whenever you will be describing your results, आप बताइए कि how your results are better than the earlier published data. तो अर्लियर पब्लिश डेटा का रेफरेंस देते हुए आपको बताना पड़ेगा कि whatever results I got, these results are far better or improved whatever as compared to other, and the end is going to be your final conclusion. So this is how the discussion part is going to be. So जैसे मैंने बताया कि describe your all result of what was already known in context with what was already known. ये सब कुछ already मैंने यहाँ पर जो लिखा है, ये सब कुछ already मैंने बताया है. एंड सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट ये है कि आपकी जो लिमिटेशंस है, जैसे मैंने बताया कि biases of methods that need to be mentioned, and even the limitations of your outcome that need to be mentioned in the discussion part. But whenever you will be discussing limitation, try to put a positive spin on what you have to say. मतलब उसको थोड़ा सा पॉजिटिव तरीके से आपको बताना पड़ेगा कि whatever shortcomings you have, those shortcomings could be easily identified or could be easily addressed in due course of time by varying this and this methodology or something of that sort. So that positive spin need to be there while discussing your limitations, and also discuss the strength of your outcome. That is very very important, like how the results which got, how it is going to be able to address some societal problem, how data is going to be good for initiating next further research, something of that sort need to be discussed. Then come to the conclusion. You see, there is a substantial difference between abstract and conclusion. You see, because I have seen many research paper in which abstract और conclusion एक जैसा होता है, but truly speaking it should not be, because abstract में जैसे मैंने बताया, abstract will consisting of what you have done, how you have done, and what you have achieved मोटे मोटे तौर पर. But when it comes to the conclusion, here you have to restate answers in terms of numbers. जो अपने नंबर्स वहां नहीं दे होंगे, जो आपके इंपॉर्टेंट रिजल्ट्स है, वो रिजल्ट्स को आपको यहाँ पर लिखना पड़ेगा in terms of numbers. And then indicate the importance of those outcome, and how, most importantly, stating implication and application and future work. मतलब उसके implication क्या होंगे, what kind of application is going to be explored, and most importantly, how this data is going to be used for further exploration of this research, right? So that need to be reflected in conclusion part. एक एग्जाम्पल है जिसमें हमने वही बताने की कोशिश की कि what we have got in terms of numbers, how it is important, right, and how it can be used for the further exploration. एंड देन एक्नॉलेजमेंट, वहां पर जो भी जितने भी फंडिंग रिसोर्सेस आपको मिले होंगे उसका आप एक्नॉलेज कर सकते हो. किसी ने अगर आपको डेटा इंटरप्रिटेशन एक्सप्लेन हेल्प की होगी, दैट आल्सो यू कैन एक्नॉलेज इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एक्नॉलेजमेंट सेक्शन. ये दिस इज द एग्जांपल जहां पर हमने whatever funding, this is my own from my own paper, whatever funding we got from different funding agencies, that we have acknowledged in this by giving numbers, year of funding and all that. And then references, next part would be references. References you draw upon मतलब references की importance मैं बताता हूँ आपको. These are the important of referencing to support your opinion and conclusion. जो conclusion आपने दिया है उसको support करने के लिए. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि जो आप conclude करते हैं ना, reviewer कहते हैं कि भाई what is the base of that, so you need to quote earlier published data कि भाई देखो ये particular research ऐसे ऐसे आए थे, on the basis of that I can claim that this is how it is going to be, this is why this is going to be useful. So it always going to support your own opinion and conclusions. It adds the credibility to the information you have presented. जो information हम present कर रहे हैं वो referencing से उसकी credibility बढ़ जाती है. Show your own credibility as well, क्योंकि आपके भी research paper का आप referencing में add करेंगे तो आपकी खुद की credibility भी important है. Reader will be able to trace the sources because whatever sources you have used for doing research, the reader will be used, because ये भी important है. आपके पेपर के citation बढ़ने के लिए कितने क्लैरिटी आपकी पेपर में है, बिकॉज देयर आर डिफरेंट कैटेगरी ऑफ रिसर्चर. कुछ रिसर्चर ऐसे हैं कि सब कुछ हाइड करके रखते हैं, रिसर्च पेपर में ज्यादा एक्सप्लेन नहीं करते, उनके लिए साइटेशन ज्यादा नहीं मिलते. you should be very I mean you should follow all ethical practices, because hiding something is going to be one of the unethical practices in research. तो ये आप अगर सभी रेफरेंसेस अगर दोगे तो it will be easier for the reader to identify those sources, and most importantly it will help you to have the possible raise the possible allegation of plagiarism. मतलब कोई कहेगा कि यार आपने plagiarism किया तो आप बता सकते हो कि ना 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 ना, I have already referred that particular paper in my paper. तो आप अगर उसका रेफर करोगे, लिखोगे, साइट करोगे तो आपको पता चलेगा लोगों को कि यार ये बंदे ने कुछ गलत नहीं किया. सो these are the importance of referencing. बहुत सारे प्रोडक्ट्स है रेफरेंसिंग हैंडल करने के लिए, जैसा कि रेफरेंस मैनेजर है, एंड नोट है. एंड नोट इज वन ऑफ द वेरी पॉपुलर प्रोडक्ट which can be used for managing your references. As far as style is concerned, there are two different style, Harvard and Cancover. So Harvard में क्या है, हार्वर्ड में आप अगर देखोगे तो टेक्स्ट में जो है वहां पर आपको वो ऑथर का नाम and year and pages लिखे मतलब you will see the name of the authors and the year of the publication, and in the list you will see the list in alphabetical order. like ये आप देखिए, ये this is the list of references, alphabetical order है. and text में आपको जैसे point tech 2010 page 117. so this kind of method being followed in case of Harvard reference style. Whereas in case of Vancouver में ऐसा है कि आपको आप नंबर दोगे, एंड यहाँ पर रेफरेंसेस में आप सीरियल नंबर्स आएंगे. जैसे कि आप देखिए, ये देखिए, ये नंबर 1 2 3 4, आप यहाँ पर नाम नहीं होंगे, बस नंबर आप लिखोगे, एंड यहाँ पर जो है जो भी होगा वो सीरियल नंबर आप रेफरेंसेस में आएंगे. ओके, So general rule आपको बताओ जाते समय, within 2-3 minutes I am going to conclude now so that you will have enough time to raise the question. So आपको क्या करना है, once you drop the manuscript, spell checking clearly करिए. टाइपोज के जो एरर्स होते हैं उसको आप क्लियर देखिए. यूज करेक्ट एंड स्टैंडर्ड नॉमेनक्लेचर, जो शॉर्ट फॉर्म आप यूज करेंगे जो स्टैंडर्ड है वो आप यूज करिए, जैसे कि सिंगल वॉल कार्बन नैनोट्यूब्स। कंसिस्टेंसी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। कंसिस्टेंसी का मतलब क्या होता है आपको बताओ, कि जैसे कि जो जनरली कैसे कैसे है ना, देखिए abstract, introduction, then experimental section, result and discussion, conclusion, इसमें consistency होनी चाहिए। abstract में आप लिखेंगे कि what you have done, how you have done, what you have achieved। introduction में आप novelty claim करेंगे, introduction में आप societal relevance claim करेंगे, and then you will be claiming your own credibility। So whatever you have done in abstract and introduction, that need to be substantiated in result and discussion, and whatever you have substantiated in result and discussion need to be summarized in summary, I mean conclusion। So all these sections subsection need to be consistent। अगर ये कंसिस्टेंस नहीं रही तो भी पेपर रिजेक्ट हो सकता है। नंबर ऑफ पेजेस भी देखिए कि वो जो जर्नल है उसके क्या रूल्स हैं। आफ्टर सबमिशन क्या करना है, मान लो आपने सब कुछ देखा, पेपर सबमिट किया, सो मोस्ट ऑफ द एडिटर विल मेक इनिशियल, जैसे मैंने बताया कि मोस्ट ऑफ द एडिटर विल मेक द डिसीजन, इनिशियल डिसीजन बिफोर, जैसे मैंने पहले ही बताया कि क्विक रिव्यू करेगा, एंड उसको अगर नॉवेल्टी नहीं दिखाई दे तो क्विकली वापस भेजेगा और कहेगा कि इसमें नॉवेल्टी नहीं है, या तो कहेगा कि हमारे पास देयर आर ह्यूज फ्लो ऑफ रिसर्च पेपर, इनकमिंग रिसर्च पेपर, एंड देयरफॉर वी कैन नॉट एक्सेप्ट योर पेपर। मान लो इफ यू कुड कन्विंस रिव्यू द एडिटर, then it will enter into the review process। review process, there are two different review process, blind and non review। blind का मतलब ये है कि आपको पता नहीं रहेगा who is going to review your paper। other is non reviewing, because whenever you will be submitting research paper, you will be you will have to submit list of possible referees, तो उनके पास भी पेपर जाएगा एंड अननोन रिव्यूअर के पास जाएगा, जिसको ब्लाइंड रिव्यू कहा जाएगा। एंड बोथ नोन एंड ब्लाइंड रिव्यूज आर गोइंग टू बी collected by editor, and accordingly they will take the decision to accept or accept with revision। revision could be either minor or major, or it could be a rejection। so that kind of decision is going to be there। so this is the flow chart, like paper submitted, you will get the confirmation of receipt, initial decision by editor, either rejection or it can allow it to go to the review में जाएगा, reviewer के comments आएंगे, either accept, revise or reject। अगर रिवाइज मोस्ट लाइकली रिजेक्ट और विदाउट करेक्शन एक्सेप्ट बहुत रेयरली होता है, रिजेक्शन और रिवाइज होगा। व्हेन इट कम्स टू द रिवाइज, अगेन इट कम्स टू द author has to revise it, and again revision manuscript need to be submitted to the journal, and again it is going to be reviewed by the reviewer, and then it can be finally accepted if it is the case, and then it will be sent to the publisher for publication। फिर वो आएगा आपके पास पब्लिकेशन के जो बाकी फॉर्मेलिटीज पूरे करने के लिए। so overall what you need to do, you need to read the instructions for authors carefully, see the format, and align your format your manuscript in line with the journal style, send the manuscript to the journal editor and wait for the acknowledgement, wait for the reviewer comment, and address, if you got the reviewer comment, address all the comments seriously, and most importantly जो deadlines है उसको maintain करिए। डेडलाइन के अंदर आप अगर नहीं करोगे तो इट इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। तो ये मैंने ऑलरेडी आपको बताया। सो फाइनल एडवाइस इज गोइंग टू बी, अगर आपको कम से कम अगर एरर चाहिए तो आपको एक बार, दो बार, तीन बार रीराइट का मतलब ये है कि आप पहला ड्राफ्ट लिखिए, करेक्शन देखिए, सेकंड ड्राफ्ट लिखिए, थर्ड ड्राफ्ट लिखिए, and then you do the proofreading and check all your numbers। whenever we talked about proofreading, आप खाली खुद मत पढ़िए, आप there are two different kinds of proofreading होनी चाहिए। एक जो बहुत अच्छा रिसर्चर है, जिसको पता है उस रिसर्च के बारे में, उसके पास दीजिए, और एक ऐसे बंदे के पास दीजिए कि जिसको कुछ भी पता नहीं है। so ask him to just go through it, see the and allow him to identify as many errors as they can, because it will help you to improve your manuscript। most importantly check all your numbers, accuracy and consistency। बहुत बार हम बहुत कैजुअल अप्रोच होता है, वैसा नहीं रहना चाहिए। and if you could do this, if you in the summary, if you are having honest, committed and focused efforts for drafting of research manuscript, and if you could thoughtfully draft your research manuscript, it is going to be become a very quality documents and is going to be accepted by reputed journal, and you can get the wonderful reputations across the globe. And one last advice to each one of you, whether you are young researcher or senior research scholar, if you are having quality research paper, जैसे मैंने पहले बताया, थॉमसन रूटर इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर वाले, एंड इंडाइसेस जो है, अगर आप साइंस के हो तो साइंस स्टडीज इंडेक्स हो या स्कोपस हो और वेब ऑफ साइंस, आप अगर सोशल साइंसेस हो तो सोशल साइंस स्टडीज इंडेक्स और ह्यूमैनिटीज आर्ट स्टडीज इंडेक्स, स्कोपस और वेब ऑफ साइंस. If you could have, quality 3-4 papers, and if you are less than 40 years of age, you are bound to get postdoctoral fellowship in any country of your choice. If you are more than 40 years, having around 5 to 10 good research papers of journals which I have mentioned, you are bound to get visiting professorship or visiting researcher of in any country of your choice. I would recommend you to publish your data in those very good journals. See the word, go to overseas universities, have the exposure, learn as much as you can, and then you can come back and help to your student. This is going to be my final advice, and as per my assurance, I kept around 10 minutes for discussion. Now I'm going to stop here, and topic is going to open for discussion.
Sir, thank you so much for this beautiful presentation. Sir, actually, I have a question that if, sir, I want to do a research in a certain field, for example, I want to carry my research on Kopili River Basin for flood, how it create the floods and all. So in that case, if I am not able to get some financial assistance, if I am not able to do that particular kind of research, so is there any kind of agencies are there where I can approach them to and from that, if I get the fundings and all, then it will be helpful for me.
Yeah, because what is your age and where you are working?
Sir, my age is sir 28. I'm an assistant professor in Sir Kanpur College, Assam. Assam.
You see, like there are very good scheme of UGC, and they always encourage young researcher less than 35 years of age. They have like startup grant, and then DST is like very broad umbrella. You see, like because there is a scheme from Department of Atomic Energy as well, but that scheme is only open for those who are doing research related to atomic energy. Whereas DST is quite open. It is like very broad umbrella, and they also have young researcher funding. You can get funding up to around 35 lakhs with project staff as well, but provided you should have good research publications. So may I ask you how many good research paper you have publication to your record as of now?
So 7.
7. Are these papers from SCI, Scopus, Web of Science Index journals?
Yes, sir. It is from Web of Science and Scopus.
Very good. Then I'm sure like you can get good funding. This is one aspect. Another aspect is your university. You are working in affiliated constituent college or university department?
Sir, I am Kanpur College. It's affiliated by Guwahati University.
Yeah. So your university must be having some minor research project. That projects are meant for doing proof of concept research. Because every university, state universities as well as state universities in particular, because central universities are not affiliating universities, state universities are mainly affiliating universities. Every state universities provide funding to the teachers who are working in their affiliated colleges, particularly youngster. I mean, those who are having designation of assistant professor or associate professor, and you can get funding up to 3, 4, 5 lakh. Now, it's not going to very big funding, but like proof of concept research you can do, and that would help you to get bigger funding from DST. But my suggestion would be DST would be better. And another thing is there are many like government of India ministry, like Minister of Environment, Minister of Forest, like that, Minister of Food Processing. You need to see like I mean, like if you really want, just for example, Mighty hai, Minister of Information Technology, right, and Electronics and Information Technology. In fact, they fund like crores of rupees. So like that, there are at least around 10 ministry of government of India. They can fund the project, provided your research should be. I mean, like you will be able to do the research as per their thrust area, because every funding agency will identify their own thrust areas, right? So if you could target their trust areas, you can get crores of rupees. And having 7 research paper at the age of 28 from Scopus, you have good prospects. Only thing is that don't keep mum, keep on applying, keep on identifying the sources, and keep on sending. I'm sure you can get for good funding from various funding agencies.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes. Any other question? Any other question?
Yes, participants, any other question? So if there
आजकल
are no
आजकल डॉक्टर राफी लोग सवाल बहुत कम करते. पहला सेशन में देखा देयर वाज नो क्वेश्चन एट ऑल.
yes,
थैंक गॉड कि यहाँ पर एक बंदे ने कम से कम पूछा है. इसका
Yes,
मतलब ये है कि दे आर नॉट वेरी सीरियस.
yes, yes,
बस
sir.
देर आर, अगर सीरियसली सुने ना तो देर वुड बी क्वेश्चंस, देर वुड बी डेफिनेटली क्वेश्चंस. ऐसा तो होगा ही नहीं कि मैंने कहा और सब कुछ समझ गया, सब कुछ समझ में आया. ऐसा तो हो ही नहीं
जी
सकता.
बराबर बराबर
ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता.
जी.
तो आप एनकरेज करिए सबको कि भाई सबको कम से कम
Yes, yes,
सवाल
yes,
पूछना
sir.
है. So
We
because
are
it's
always encouraging and
educated.
we are always telling them to ask questions, have interaction in the induction meeting itself, sir. We are mentioning them कि जब तक कि two-way communication नहीं होता है तो resource person का आपके पास में आने का कोई उपयोग ही नहीं होता है. ये
ऐसे ना
प्लेटफॉर्म
हम
उसके
जब
लिए.
हम जब ऑफलाइन सेशन लेते थे
जी जी
तो
जी.
वहां पर लोगों को सामने उनको मतलब उनके सामने बोलते थे, उनके साथ इंटरेक्शन होता था.
Yes,
और
yes.
फिर वहां पर उनको सवाल करना ही पड़ता था, कोई ऑप्शन
जी
नहीं रहता था. अब
जी.
यहाँ तो हम छुप सकते हैं ना अभी.
Yes.
मतलब अब जो साइलेंट कर दीजिए और शांत बैठिए एक अदर एंड को. कोई
जी
मैंडेटरी नहीं है सवाल करना.
जी 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 जी. ये चीज चेंज होनी चाहिए सर.
हाँ होनी चाहिए
all
क्योंकि
all
अभी
all these are new interns,
ये
because being an orientation course, all these are new interns, sir. So
ये
it
तो
is
इनके
such
तो
a
बहुत
journey.
सवाल होंगे. जो न्यू न्यू एंट्रेंट जो है उनके तो बहुत से सवाल होने चाहिए.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes,
मतलब दे हैव टू सेट देयर ओन करियर. दे
yes,
हैव मेनी इयर्स टू गो.
yes,
बहुत कुछ करना है उनको. एंड देयर आर मेनी प्रॉब्लम्स एज सच.
yes, yes, sir. Even now,
बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स
when
हैं.
they have entered this position now, and
हाँ
national education policy and several
हाँ.
changes are there. COVID pandemic was
मतलब
there.
क्वालिटी रिसर्च करना itself is a challenge in many institutions, even in universities as well. तो
Yes,
लोगों को
yes,
सवाल करने चाहिए कि भाई क्या किया जाए.
yes, sir.
मतलब वो ईगरनेस दिखना चाहिए
जी
टीचर्स.
जी.
क्योंकि अब यूजीसी ने ऑफलाइन बंद ही कर दिया तो
बराबर.
असलियत में इम्पैक्ट नहीं पड़ता ये ऑनलाइन का. अब यूजीसी
जी
ने पता नहीं क्यों इसको कंटिन्यू रखा.
जी.
नहीं होना चाहिए क्योंकि जो ट्रेनिंग होना चाहिए टीचर्स. अब
फेस
एनईपी
टू
में
फेस
बताया
होना
जा रहा
चाहिए.
है कि टीचर्स को ट्रेन किया जाएगा, उनको अकाउंटेबल बनाया जाएगा. कैसे अकाउंटेबल?
Initially, pre-pandemic, they were thinking of a semester for an faculty induction program, sir. एक
हाँ हाँ
पूरा
हाँ
complete semester. And
हाँ
before
हाँ.
joining,
हम्म.
जब सेक्रेटरी आए थे, आपको याद होगा सर, आप जब आईक्यू डायरेक्टर थे, हमारे पास में नैक आया था. वो
जी
दिन मीटिंग हुआ था पूना में, तो मैंने
जी.
अटेंड किया था ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ
हाँ
आवर यूनिवर्सिटी.
हाँ हाँ हाँ
That time, Secretary Jain sir was there. So he
हाँ
told
हाँ.
that there should be a semester for faculty induction program, and it
अच्छा.
should be before joining.
हाँ बिफोर
तो
ज्वाइनिंग ये.
हाँ, बिफोर ज्वाइनिंग होना चाहिए. लेकिन वो क्यों इम्प्लीमेंट, एमएचआरडी के भी वो टाइम पर एमएचआरडी, अभी जो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एजुकेशन है, उसके भी काफी सारे लोग थे. तो उन्होंने तो ये प्रपोज किया था कि 1 सेमेस्टर बिफोर ज्वाइनिंग देयर शुड बी फैकल्टी इंडक्शन प्रोग्राम.
नहीं क्या हुआ करता, देखिए आपको पता है जब साथ में काम करते थे,
जी जी जी
एकेडमिक स्टाफ कॉलेज हुआ करता था,
जी.
तो हम कितने असाइनमेंट लेते थे टीचर
यस.
से. और बहुत इट यूज्ड टू बी वेरी
हेक्टिक
वेरी.
एंड हाँ, वो कंटिन्यूअसली बिजी रहते थे सर. इवन उनमें
हाँ
आपस में भी बात करने का टाइम उन्हें नहीं मिलता
हाँ.
था बाद में.
और कैसे ना कि अभी मान लो औरंगाबाद में आते हैं, दे आर गोइंग टू बी हियर फॉर कितना, अभी कितना दिन का हुआ
अभी तो
रहा.
दे हैव रिड्यूस्ड इट टू 24. लास्ट ईयर 30 था, अभी और कम कर दिया उन्होंने उसमें से
ठीक है ना,
चीजें.
24 डेज एक साथ रहना. नए दोस्तों को मिलना, इंटरेक्शन हो
जी
रहा,
जी
तो एनरिचमेंट बहुत अच्छा हुआ करता
यस,
था।
नेटवर्किंग भी सर इसमें बिल्कुल वो हो जा रहा है, नेटवर्किंग इज
नेटवर्किंग
नॉट
नहीं
देयर।
है। एंड देन कैसा होता है ना, जब हम जाते ना, जैसे कि यहाँ पर अगर आके बैठेंगे तो वो अपने अपने घर के परेशानी से दूर रहेंगे,
जी
तो
जी
वो
बराबर।
एक इन्वॉल्वमेंट रहेगा। अब ये घर पे
इन्वायरमेंट
बैठे बैठे मेरे पीठ पीछे सब परेशानियां को मुझे मेरे वो दिमाग में
बराबर।
है, तो ये एक सेशन करके कोई मतलब नहीं होता
जी
एक्चुअली।
जी जी
किसी ने
बराबर।
सोचना चाहिए।
जी
यानी
जी
एक तरफ से हम एनईपी की बात करते हैं और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन तो वो डायरेक्शन पे नहीं है जो होना चाहिए एक्चुअली।
एंड इट शुड बी स्टॉप कंप्लीटली थ्रू आउट इंडिया सर। क्या हुआ
यस,
इसमें
थ्रू इंडिया, यस।
दूसरी दूसरी जगह जो कुछ जो टीएलसी सेंटर्स थे, यूजी एमएचआरडी के, टीएलसी टीचर लर्निंग सेंटर, तो उनके पास में कुछ रामानुजन कॉलेज जैसे दिल्ली या और दूसरे कॉलेजेस, दे हैव ट्रेन्ड अराउंड 24,000 टीचर्स एट अ टाइम सर,
अच्छा
एफआईपी।
अच्छा।
तो उसके वजह से बहुत ये इसमें क्रेज बढ़ गया सर ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज का, स्पेशली फ्रॉम कॉलेजेस फ्रॉम दिल्ली, जिन्हें टीएलसी सेंटर मिला था इसमें एमएचआरडी के थ्रू, एंड दे वर इक्वलेंट टू द कोर्सेज कंडक्टेड बाय दिस एचआरडीसी, फॉर्मरली एचआरडीसी। तो एट दैट टाइम वो लोगों ने एकदम बल्क में ट्रेनिंग दिया है सर। तो वहां भी बहुत सारा कोलैप्स हुआ है सर, एंड इवन
एक्चुअली
पर्सनली आई
तो
हैव मैसेज दैट टू सेक्रेटरी कि आप देखो कि एडवर्टाइज में क्या बता रहे, नो एनओसी रिक्वायर्ड,
हम्म,
no upper limit of participants. They were mentioning in their
अच्छा।
flyer that no NOC will be required. Even यानी कि कोई कल को एक जिला परिषद का स्कूल का टीचर भी कर ले सकता है ट्रेनिंग, या मान लो कि एक जूनियर कॉलेज का टीचर भी ट्रेन करता है, वो उसे भी सर्टिफिकेट दे देंगे।
नहीं, वन वे इट इज गुड, बट वो फोकस नहीं रहेगा ना।
नहीं
आप
नहीं नहीं नहीं।
इतना डाइवर्सिफाइड ऑडियंस अगर रखेंगे तो वो
जी जी
स्पेशलाइज ट्रेनिंग कैसी होगी? वो
जी
तो
जी
इट इज वेरी जनरलाइज।
जी।
जब आप एनईपी अगर आपको इफेक्टिव इम्प्लीमेंटेशन करना है, क्योंकि एनईपी के वर्कशॉप ले रहे हैं हम, वो बस जस्ट
बराबर।
फॉर द सेक ऑफ कंप्लीशन हो रहा है।
नहीं बराबर बराबर सर।
नहीं, एनीवे, आप मतलब हमारे लिमिटेशन भी है, हम मतलब बहुत ज्यादा आवाज भी उठा नहीं सकते।
No,
दैट्स
we have communicated the same thing. Many directors in the meeting conducted by Honorable Chairman also, they have suggested that the courses should be completely offline in the offline mode.
यस यस,
तो
होना ही
लेकिन
चाहिए।
उसका कोई उतना वो नहीं हुआ है सर। इवन पार्टिसिपेंट्स आर रेडी टू डू द कोर्सेस, ऐसा नहीं कि
हाँ,
पार्टिसिपेंट की ऑफलाइन
मैं
के
आपको बोलता हूँ,
काफी
अभी
इंक्वायरी
अभी
आती है।
जितने भी पार्टिसिपेंट है ना, इसमें से 50% पार्टिसिपेंट को लगता है कि यस, ऑफलाइन होना चाहिए।
यस 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 सर।
50% हो गए, उनको लगता है यार अच्छा है, घर बैठे हो रहा है सब कुछ, कहीं जाने की जरूरत नहीं है।
पार्टिसिपेंट की भी इच्छा है बाहर आने की, कॉलेज के इन्वायरमेंट से बाहर निकलने की, वर्क स्ट्रेस जो रहता है थोड़ा कम हो जाता है, हम कहीं पर
नया
एक
कुछ सीखने को
बाहर
मिलता
जाते
है
हैं।
ना, नया
जी
कुछ सीखने को मिलता है।
जी जी जी। लेकिन वो नहीं हो पाया सर ये। एक्चुअली वी कैन से दैट कोविड हैज प्लेड अ मेजर रोल इन दीज थिंग्स सर, क्योंकि उसके पहले जो इन्होंने एक अर्पित बोलकर एक रिफ्रेशर स्टार्ट किया था सर, जो
हम्म।
हमारे पास में गणेश मंजा सर ने रमेश मंजा सर ने लिया था
हाँ हाँ।
बायोडाइवर्सिटी पर। तो वो फेल, इट वाज अ फेलियर, एंड एमएचआरडी हैज रिटर्न अ लेटर दैट वी हैव फेल्ड टू कंडक्ट द कोर्सेज ऑनलाइन। लेकिन उसके बाद में इमीडिएट पेंडेमिक आने से सर ये सब चीजें होगी, नहीं तो ऑनलाइन की तरफ हम जाते ही नहीं थे कभी सर।
हाँ, वो तो ये तो कैसा ना, बिकॉज ऑफ पेंडेमिक ओनली वी एंटर इनटू
Yes.
दिस पर्टिकुलर।
Before pandemic also they have tried a lot UGC and MHRD की, हम लोग मूक के कोर्सेज से ट्रेनिंग करेंगे जिससे काफी सारा जो है खर्चा भी कम होगा। लेकिन इवन दे हैव मेंशन्ड इन द लेटर दैट इट वाज अ फेलियर, ऑनलाइन क्लासेस वर फेलियर। आई हैव दैट लेटर विद मी इन माय ऑफिस कि उन्होंने मेंशन किया था दैट इट वाज अ फेलियर ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज। लेकिन उसके बाद में अचानक पेंडेमिक आने से सभी को शिफ्ट होना ही पड़ा सर उसके लिए।
दिस इज मोस्ट अनफॉर्चुनेट।
जी जी
ठीक है, चलिए
जी
कंक्लूड करिए फिर अभी।
जी जी जी। सो ऑन
हेलो
बिहाफ,
सर। हेलो।
यस यस सर, यस सर।
हाँ सर, एक मैं सवाल पूछना
जी
चाहता हूँ।
पूछिए पूछिए।
हाँ, कुछ नहीं, एक छोटा सा सवाल था सर। आपने जो भी अभी कहा, ये भी हम भी नहीं चाहते सर ऑनलाइन करना, तो क्या करें? अभी ये ऑनलाइन करके जो फेस टू फेस मिलेगा एजुकेशन, वो बहुत अच्छा रहता, तो वो आगे चल के कर सकते हैं। मेरा एक सवाल था सर कि आफ्टर कोरोना के बाद में, आपने अभी जो रिसर्च के बारे में हमें बताया, बहुत अच्छा बताया सर। तो आफ्टर कोरोना पीरियड के बाद में अब जो बच्चे कॉलेज में आ रहे हैं सर, ऐसे ऐसे बच्चे आ रहे हैं जिन बच्चों को एजुकेशन सिस्टम में 12वीं के बाद में जो फर्स्ट ईयर में आता है बच्चा, ऐसे बच्चे हैं जो बच्चे रिसर्च का तो वो भी छोड़ दो,
लेकिन जो रेगुलरली एजुकेशन है उसमें भी वो बच्चे अच्छी तरह से प्रिपेयर नहीं कर सकते, ऐसे बच्चे आए। तो इन बच्चों को हमें लेकर रिसर्च में इनका इंटरेस्ट कैसे बढ़ाना चाहिए, जो हमें हमारे केबीसी एनएमयू यूनिवर्सिटी में सीबीसीएस पैटर्न इसके पहले था, एनएप के पहले, उसमें रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट, रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी का एक सब्जेक्ट हम पढ़ाते थे SYBA में। तो अभी एमए फर्स्ट ईयर सेकंड ईयर में रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट है हमारे बच्चों को। तो ये बच्चों को रिसर्च में इनका इंटरेस्ट बढ़ाने के लिए एक टीचर को क्या करना चाहिए, ये मुझे पूछना था।
देखिए कैसा है ना, ये फॉरगेट अबाउट कोरोना इम्पैक्ट। कोरोना से पहले भी देहातों से जो बच्चे आते थे उनकी टीचिंग लर्निंग प्रोसेस बहुत अच्छी नहीं हुआ करती थी, राइट। तो हमारे पास जैसे कि औरंगाबाद में मैं पिछले 2003 से हूँ। जलगांव यूनिवर्सिटी में मैं था, नॉर्थ महाराष्ट्र यूनिवर्सिटी ड्यूरिंग 1999 टू 2003। तो वहां पर भी मैंने देखा। तो इट्स नॉट ओनली कोरोना इम्पैक्ट। हम टीचर जो है ना, हम टीचर हमारा जॉब ही ऑनेस्टली करते नहीं, क्योंकि जहां से बच्चे आ रहे हैं कोई तो पढ़ाने वाला टीचर होगा ना। तो करो इवन ड्यूरिंग कोरोना आल्सो ऑनलाइन टीचिंग तो हुआ करती थी। तो इट्स नॉट ओनली कोरोना ऑनलाइन में। आई अंडरस्टैंड, आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि ड्यूरिंग कोरोना इम्पैक्ट जो टीचिंग लर्निंग जो होना चाहिए थी वो सही तरीके से हुई नहीं, दैट इज फाइन, राइट। ड्यूरिंग एज पर एज द कोरोना इम्पैक्ट पीरियड 2-3 साल जो गए वो अगर छोड़ दिए, लेकिन आप अगर थोड़ा सा अगर पीछे जाओगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि इसमें पहले बहुत ज्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं था। पहले भी बच्चे ऐसे ही आया करते थे, क्योंकि रीजन ये है कि उस लेवल पे टीचर उनको सीरियसली पढ़ाते नहीं। मतलब जब जब आप अगर एमएससी को पढ़ा रहे, पीजी को पढ़ा रहे, अंडर ग्रेजुएट पे टीचिंग हो नहीं रही। जब अंडर ग्रेजुएट की बात करते हो 11वीं 12वीं को टीचिंग प्रॉपरली हुई नहीं। तो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट हमारे टीचर्स का रोल। जब तक हम ऑनेस्ट नहीं रहेंगे उस लेवल तक, तब तक ये चेंज होने वाला नहीं है। खाली मैं इससे शुरुआत हमें अपने आप से करनी पड़ेगी, क्योंकि आई शुड नॉट ब्लेम अदर्स, क्योंकि दूसरे को उंगलियां बता के नहीं चलेगा ना कि सबसे पहले मैं कर रहा हूं क्या। सो लेट अस स्टार्ट डूइंग ऑनेस्टली एवरीबॉडी, ऑटोमेटिक सब कुछ सुधर जाएगा। नंबर 1। नंबर 2, एज पर एज रिसर्च इज कंसर्न, रिसर्च के लिए अलग से कुछ करना नहीं है। देखिए रिसर्च ऐसा है कि इट नीडेड एवरीवेयर। आपको बच्चों को ये बताना है कि रिसर्च डजंट मीन दैट आपको रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी पढ़नी है। रिसर्च क्या है कि अगर अपने आप को हमें खुश रखना है, हर कोई चाहता है कि अब मैं खुश रहूं, हर कोई चाहता है कि आई शुड बी वेरी हैप्पी। सो इन ऑर्डर टू मेक अवरसेल्फ हैप्पी वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि पहले क्या हुआ है, राइट। मैं पहले खुश क्यों नहीं था, उसके रीजंस क्या है, उसके लिए क्या मैं कर सकता हूं। दिस इज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग इन रिसर्च। तो रिसर्च में अलग कुछ नहीं करना है, हमें बच्चों को क्वेश्चन रेज करने की कैपेबिलिटीज बच्चों को पूछना बताना पड़ेगा। एक भाई स्टार्ट रेजिंग क्वेश्चंस एंड डोंट एक्सपेक्ट दैट टीचर्स विल गिव यू आंसर। ट्राई, बिकॉज नाउअडेज बिकॉज ऑफ दिस गूगल एंड एवरीथिंग, आई नो गूगल पे सब कुछ करेक्ट इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं मिलती। बट यू सी, आपका एज मुझे पता नहीं क्या है, बट मुझे पता है कि जब हम यंग थे, बिकॉज नाउ आई एम 58, आज मुझे अगर कुछ प्रॉब्लम है मैं गूगल पे सर्च करता हूँ, 2 मिनट में मुझे चैट जीपीटी है, देयर आर मेनी सोर्सेज नाउ डेज, विद इन नो टाइम आई कैन गेट द आंसर। बट हम जब स्टूडेंट हुआ करते थे, हम जब शुरुआत के दिनों में हम जब पढ़ाया करते थे, बिकॉज आई स्टार्टेड माई टीचिंग सिंस 1988, तब ये सब कुछ नहीं था। तब बच्चों को बहुत चैलेंजिंग था, आज वो जरूर आज नहीं है। तो आप बच्चों को एनकरेज करिए कि स्टार्ट रेजिंग क्वेश्चंस and try to get answer of those questions on yourself। जिसके जवाब नहीं होंगे, नहीं मिलेंगे, वो टीचर से पूछिए। बिकॉज एज लॉन्ग एज यू आर डिपेंडिंग ऑन अदर्स, रिसर्च एटीट्यूड नहीं इनकलकेट हम कर पाएंगे बच्चों में। इसीलिए बच्चों को सेल्फ लर्निंग की आदत लगाइए। बच्चों को बताइए कि रिसर्च इंपॉर्टेंट क्यों है। रिसर्च डजंट मीन दे आर गोइंग टू द लैब, रिसर्च डजंट मीन दे आर रीडिंग रिसर्च पेपर। रिसर्च मीन्स आइडेंटिफाइंग क्वेश्चंस around us and searching for its solution. This is what the research means and this is needed for everybody। ओके तो ये तरीके
sir.
हमें बदलने पड़ेंगे, अप्रोचेस बदलने पड़ेंगे। सो एवरीथिंग कैन बी डन। ये सब हम टीचर कर सकते। हर किसी ने ये सोचना चाहिए। अगर हमने कर दिया ना So there can be miracle, let me tell you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
So I would take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks to my former director of this UGC Malviya Mission Teachers Training Center, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, currently Dean Faculty of Faculty of Science and Technology, also former Director IQAC of our university, also former Registrar of our university, and former Head Department of Physics of our university, Professor Mahendra Shirsat, who have spared his valuable time in his busy schedule to this 13th फैकल्टी इंडक्शन प्रोग्राम। अगर आप लोग सभी अगर यहाँ ऑफलाइन आते तो मैं आपको बताता था कि काफी सारी जो बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस है इस HRDC में द foundation was led by Professor Mahendra Shirsat sir, be it the assignments, assessment regarding the sitting arrangements and all the things in which the quality of program can be improved. Professor Mahendra Shirsat sir has always been innovative, and few of the good practices conducted by this UGC Malviya Mission Teachers Training Center was adopted by the University Grants Commission in their guidelines. So it was really a proud thing to work under Mahendra Shirsat sir. We have learned a lot, and I hope that same thing was delivered by him in through his lecture on that particular topic, which we will carry forward to your friends and colleagues and students. So my special thanks to Mahendra Shirsat sir for sparing his valuable time. So with the permission of our respected resource person, I declare that this session is over, and all of us, we will join for next session after half an hour. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rafi.
Okay, sir.
Hello.